Welcome one and all to LPL Winter 2025. We are right back to it every day of the week. I'm Azal, I'm joined by Cubby, and I couldn't be more excited because we have a boxing match tonight. It might not be the cleanest, but it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, frankly, two teams that really need a win in this group. Of course, when you're in a group with anyone's legends and top esports, it's going to be a tough task to get out as top two. With both these teams sitting at 0-1 in the standings, gotta believe a win today is the first step towards what would be a big upset run, but also necessary in just staying alive.
Yeah, that's the craziest part, as we are actually going to talk a little bit about the format itself and bring up the groups there, because we are going to be in a Group A bout, but it's one for their lives a bit. You only get to play 3 best-of-5s. It is a single round robin best-of-5 fearless format. Top 2 make it into playoffs. Bottom 2, bye-bye. We'll see you in spring. And I think that's the hardest thing to say when you have a lot of big teams. I mean, we have 16 teams in the LPL, and half of those teams we will not see in the rest of the winter split. Only one of those teams gets to go to the last stand tournament.
Yeah, it's been fun seeing like how every region has adopted this fearless format in their own. I gotta say, the LPL version, I like the fact that we get the best of 5s. I really feel like fearless, that kicks in the most in games 4 and 5. So we've yet to see a game 5, but frankly, this is a series where I think it's very possible tonight that it goes the distance in what's going to be a slugfest. We aren't expecting it to be clean, but we're hoping it's going to be entertaining for us and you back home.
Knockout, drag out. It's like the Three Stooges thing, that poking him in the eye. You got the sound effects going. That's going to be the whole.
It might be less coordinated than the Three Stooges too, which would be incredible. So we'll see.
Maybe we'll see how it goes though. But I'm really excited because we are getting to the brass tacks of winter split. It's going to be a lot of fun. See if one of these teams can kind of make a push in Group A, and let's go ahead and talk about some of these teams. And we'll start off with WE first, because I think a lot of people, and I know my producer included, Kelsey, struggling to find a reason to want to watch this team. And I think there's a lot of arguments in a lot of ways. I mean, Tienza getting his own picks and not having success with that. We're not seeing that OMG transplant of Cube and Tienza and have success. The biggest eyes for me are on Taeyun and Karis, and we're seeing kind of the imports have a bigger say on this team.
Yeah, Taeyun was a player where I didn't feel like he was awful in the LCK. Like, he had his moments, but for me, it's funny because it really feels like somewhat of a hodgepodge roster between Karis being that LCK journeyman, Taeyun being a younger player that now finds his way in the LPL. I feel like these two players are serviceable, but the pieces around them can sometimes be very questionable in terms of the picks that we see from them in draft, can sometimes get fancy, and then also just how they play overall. We've really seen a lack of consistency from an org that used to be top of the LPL. And frankly, it's kind of funny for me that I was always so excited to see Teacher Ma games, and now he's coaching behind them. And I'm not super thrilled to see Team WE games at the moment. But we'll see if they can change my opinion tonight.
I hope so. I mean, hey, every best of 5
in there.
Is Stop.
Who's an electric player that is?
These guys have starting rosters already. All right, we're going to keep the 5 that we have. The biggest thing, though, is hopefully every best of 5 is kind of a rinse and repeat and try to find something that works for them, because all in all, it's about finding the strategy that works, because this game, especially right now with all the different changes to the map, is so high tempo in a lot of ways that you have to find those adaptations very quickly. And I think it has to come from this top side. I think you look at Cube and Tienza, and you need to have strength, especially with the flexibility that top lane has right now, but Tienza needing a lot of strength for himself.
Yeah, and when it comes to, some of these picks, what we see out of Cube and Tianjin, I gotta say, with Fearless, we've seen a couple more games now for LPL, and also a couple more games worldwide as LCK is going. We got LEC games now. And in this format, we've seen the reappearance of Udyr, and this is a pick worth noting for Cube that he was fantastic at. Last summer was a really big pick for him and OMG. Yeah, the run at him was good, not just in team fights, but also how he set up the map. I think that he used Udyr's tempo really well, the windows that you get on this champion by just dirty farming and really being able to cheat waves and go roam. Cube does use this champ well, and it's something that I expect to see potentially not just from him, but also contested tonight, as well as takeaway picks are really big and fearless, and something that would be valid against Cube.
And I think Tianzhen, on the other hand, he's a guy that I've actually really appreciated here recently. And I think trying to find a way to enable this guy is omega important. Not only that, but it's also just trying to figure out how to make him proficient, because he's bounced around to a lot of teams. He's not been able to find a lot of success, but finding that success here and at least trying to make a name for himself in Subway is super huge. I know the Rengar here looks really good, and every team should fear it, but we have seen it already this split, and it didn't work out too well for him. I want to see that he's not just a Rengar player, and I know he's not, but we need to see if that strategy works.
Game 1 of the Team WE series, he picked the Rengar. You know he's going to play the Rengar if it's up. And frankly, in Fearless, like, this is something that we saw a lot of NACL teams do in the league that we cover, that had Fearless all of last year. Give those picks game 1, because you don't have to worry about them for the rest of the draft, right? If you don't want to see the Rengar spending bans on that for 3 games minimum, if you give it game 1, it's a risky pick. You beat it. You don't have to worry about that ban for the rest of the series. Something that we know that Tianzhen's willing to pull out whenever. So I expect to see it potentially game 1 today. And if not, then definitely a pick we'll have to look out for throughout the series, because you know he's always willing to pull that one out.
The thing is when he was on OMG, maybe a little bit less so, but when he was on IG as well, like, the reason why he's known for this is because it was being left open to him, and he was destroying games with it. I don't know if that's necessarily been the case in the recent track record, but we could get there again, Tianzhen. We could get there again, baby. We'll see if it actually works, though, and see if it becomes a viable strategy in this Fearless system that we have as we transition our conversation over to the other side of things. Maybe a little bit more exciting on the Rift here, but also a roster that's been working their way into the hearts of the LPL.
Yeah, and I got to say, we weren't super excited about Team WE and their build for this year, but LGD did give us some reason to be excited for this team, as this is a team that used to be top of the table for LPL, much like Team WE. I mean, I remember these guys rocking Imp and flubbing at Worlds. That's really what I remember from LGD, right? God. We haven't seen that in a while, but this is a squad where they promoted their victorious LDL rosters, XQW being on that, Climber, YCX. These guys had success in the secondary league, and with a team that, you know, hasn't had the results that they're used to seeing in LPL if you go back 5-10 years, for them to stick with that LDL core that got them the trophy in that league, promote them, I think that's a really nice approach for a team that's looking to climb the ranks of LPL, and excited to see more from this team. It wasn't the best first series. I gotta say, they played Anyone's Legends decent. I don't think Anyone's Legends had a good series whatsoever, so hopefully we see LGD do some better things today, because we did see some promising things out of a few of their members.
Yeah, I always love seeing the holdover from the championship. Obviously, Climber and XQW having a lot of fun last summer in the LDL. But we got to take a look at XQW himself as well, because I think this guy was a big surprise to me. Even in their last series, even in loss, him and Climber were actually keeping tabs with a lot of Anyone's Legend. And I think we get to see some of the moments that could lead to some big dividends in a best of 5.
Yeah, game 1 was kind of close. Game 3 was one that was really close, but they just flubbed the later fights as Hope went huge on the GA Kai'Sa, which we hate GA Kai'Sa, but, you know, it worked out for that fight. Anyway, I do really want to praise XQW, how he was able to play around bot lane. We saw game 1, really positive impact. Game 3, this TP to match Flandre, he got here in time, ended up having a massive trade. He's going to go down in this play for his team, because he's playing this really well. That charm on Kyle was fantastic. He has some hands, and also the map presence from a young player that we've seen obviously was a big part of their success in LDL, but good to see that transition into the big league against an LPL favorite in Anyone's Legends. It was a respectable series from XQW, and we'll see if he can put up a solid series against Team WE today.
Yeah, I think those are the big spotlights, at least for the side of LGD, that we're really looking at, because those are the places that at least we feel like right now that have a nice ceiling to them. And again, you're still backs against the wall. You need to scrounge out every possibility. But when one of these teams, WE, LGD, they have to win today. One of them has to walk away with the dub and make this group a little bit spicier. But you always have to remember that it's looming large, that if you lose 2 out of 3 of your best of 5 series, things ain't looking too good going forward.
Yeah, especially not in this group when you're either playing Anyone's Legends or Top Esports, if you are these two teams respectively, as it would be LGD versus Top and Team WE versus Anyone's Legends. And again, two teams that are favorites to hoist LPL trophies throughout the 3 splits this year with the rosters they're rocking. Both find themselves in this group. So it would be a pretty monumental task for either of these teams to exit the group. But hey, that has to start today by taking care of some business against the non-favorites in the group and getting a win.
I'm very excited to watch. I know we get to focus on jungle a lot. We have some really good junglers in the LPL, it feels like.
Yeah, I got to say, we have a little bit of time here, Mazel. Obviously, I'm a little bit newer to LPL, especially LDL, not a league that I follow. But I know Climber's someone that you've really been hyping up. Has Meteor behind him now to help coach. Like, what were some of the positives of Climber coming out of LDL, and what we're looking for from him in the big leagues?
I think we got to see a little bit of it in their last series as well. Kind of the confidence plays that he's willing to go for, some of the map pressure. Because I think something that some of the best LPL junglers do in this game is keep map control and have map pressure around the constant objectives that are spawning. And one of the things that Climber has never backed down from are those confidence plays. Again, multiple times in their last series, we got to see that. And I think that's super important to keep going forward as an LPL jungler. The only thing is their last series, they didn't have as very good smite timings with some of the maybe smite fights that we saw. So try to fix that a little bit. But hey, those are rookie mistakes. Those are things coming through the LDL that maybe need to change in some regard. But this guy was keeping tabs and sometimes doing better than Tarzan from AL, and I think that's super impressive.
It was a shaky series from Tarzan. I was a little bit bummed from someone who had a really nice Demacia Cup. Didn't have a great series against LGD. As anyone's Legends, I mean, they didn't play great league in that 3-0. So definitely something to look out for when they face top esports later on in this event. A match that is a must-watch for a lot of people at home. But yeah, we'll see if we can see some good things from Climber. I know I had personally, like, coming into the split again, if this is something that LGD is doing that I've been really hoping that some of the lower tier NA orgs have been doing, which is, really investing in talent and then promoting them when they get success. We've seen both Team Liquid and FlyQuest at the top of the table do that successfully with their secondary teams. That has helped them hoist trophies in the primary league in the last couple of years. And so seeing LGD take the similar approach, I think it's a little bit tougher to do in the LPL when you have big legacy names.
They get picked up before you can even continue to build them,
I mean, it's been something that I've been battling with the community perception on Lucid, a player that I think really highly of in LCK. He's someone where you got to give these guys, especially in cerebral roles like jungle, time to match the likes of legendary players like, Canyon, Cuz, Owner over there they have to go up against. So I think, Climber and XQW getting a shot here. And this is something where LGD too, I mean, if they promote these players to higher tier orgs in the LPL, obviously not ideal for them, but could be big for the org moving forward and kind of recycling and trying to use the same formula. So I'd like to see the approach from LGD.
The only, or I guess the biggest learning factor is being in the pit with your opponents. I feel like, and at this level, especially being able to learn from your experiences. And we've seen that, at least over the last year. I mean, there was a reason why the youth was so heavily emphasized over these last couple of years for the LPL, because it feels like there's a new era to some extent. Obviously, at IG, who just brought out all the big old names to kind of rebuff that a little bit.
Doinby's back, man.
There's a lot of teams that do have some serious developmental talent that's been coming through the LDL.
League's better when Doinby's back. Like, just thinking about Doinby, it should put a smile on your face.
You get the new players and you have the legends. And that's why you get to kind of get those baton passes and especially a lot of the experience handed down to the newer players.
Yeah, if you hear Doinby and that doesn't bring a smile to your face, I don't know if you're really a fan of League, man. This guy's too fun to watch. He's like Teacher Ma if Teacher Ma was elite. Because Teacher Ma, he was the guy that liked to walk bot like level 3, screw the waves. It was always entertaining games with Teacher Ma. Really the Galio TF legend. And yeah, Doinby, of course, the king of roams. And I mean, honestly, ridiculously good player in mid, man. It's amazing to see what he can do with and without resources. And fun to see him back in the league. Had a nice debut with NIP, but we're getting into walkouts today for Team WE versus LGD, Mazel.
We are in Xi'an, Team WE's arena. I got to go there in 2023. I didn't get to go to the actual arena. We were literally across the street.
Cool neighborhood, cool area.
It was pretty cool. There's a lot of really good food around there, which is really nice. But
food is always good.
I have always really liked the Team WE arena. It's always really nice. They always have a lot of really cool decorations around it and these giant screens as well. So it's always really cool. And for me, it's one of the places where we get some really loud gyos, and I always love that. So we'll get to see WE versus LGD on this stage. And how nice is it to have a home arena, I guess, for WE? I think it's such a special privilege for the few in our league that have those.
It is. It really speaks to the legacy of this org in the LPL, but again, looking at recent results, you would not think that they have a home arena in this league, as they haven't used it all too well, but we'll see if it can maybe be a bit of an advantage today, as I'm sure they're going to have a few more fans in the stands than LGD.
I really hope we get to see something out of Tianjin today. I think another big shout out that we have to give, and maybe something else that we're really focused on, is this bot lane, not only in the duo, but specifically at the ADC position. That's where I bring up Taeyun, where I do think even in a struggling series, I think there was some seriously good looks from a guy that's looking to try to make a mark in a legendary league such as the LPL in a famous position such as ADC. And I would really like to see him continue going with some of his instincts and maybe look at some of that team fighting style going forward a little bit. But against Xiaoya, he's going to have to be ready for pressure in the 2v2.
Yeah, frankly, it's going to be some of the, I hate saying it's like litmus tests, but it is early season, and Xiaoya going up against Taeyun again, serviceable AD and LCK, had more success last year when he had my GOAT, Cuz Lightyear, in the jungle playing with Guangdong. But frankly, I mean, still kind of an iffy season for him. He didn't play the entire year with Guangdong, so we're going to see if, now hopping over to LPL, he can put up some numbers against this young LGD squad that is quite exciting, sticking with that LDL core. Something where it feels like if you want to rebuild a reboot of a legacy org, we do have 2 legacy orgs in the LPL that have really struggled. So I like LGD's build a lot better in terms of their approach to this roster, and we'll see if that proves true today and bears fruit in a win.
True. And I think the reality is there is some serious spice potential in this series itself. Not only potentially going to our first 5 games, which please, I hope. I know my producer Kelsey's probably hating me right now, but it's also the fact that we could get some really fun picks at least. I feel like over these last couple days, we've been seeing teams willing to open up the playbook a little bit more so and see some different looks as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just want to highlight, like, Fearless Draft, it's different for the first few games, but you don't really feel it until games 4 and game 5, where all of a sudden you got, 6, potentially 6+ picks gone from your role just from the first few games. A lot of those powerful blinds are gone. You got to really go down the tree. I think Marksman especially is a role that gets narrowed. Got to be ready to pull out some mages. I think, Seraphine is a pick that every team should have prep, because when you get a lot of Marksman off the table, Seraphine is a pick where, hey, we can just go fighters, play Seraphine bot, have a different texture to this game, and Seraphine is a champ that is really strong can lane bot. Like, there are certain picks where I feel like every team should have prepped and ready to go. I mean, Viego's another one. Like, just play Viego reset comp, right? When things get a little bit tougher later on in Fearless Draft, sometimes it's really easy to default to, hey, just play around Viego, play around Jinx, get resets, and go from there. Just really easy comp identities where you can find a lot of picks that fit when things get narrowed up in the Fearless format.
Well, we are going to the next iteration and change
Mid lane war
format, and it's the 1v1 for side select of our best of 5. We'll be getting into announced Cars versus XQW. Who can get the upper hand and who can select blue side, because that's what we've seen every single winner of this do. And we already have some particular bans going through.
Ooh, Aurelia bans opens up Jace a little bit. I did see Snowball is enabled for the 1v1s, which is huge. One way that you can really get through the melee versus range matchup with landing a Snowball, whether it's on the creep wave or an opponent. We saw that used to great success. I believe it was Flandre that used it to pick up the kill in his 1v1 series. So,
the Orianna ban.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm expecting to see potentially a Jace come out as, oh boy, Draven. Insta-locked.
I like the Draven. I'm here for it. It's a little bit aggressive, but I like it. You got to remember the rules for the 1v1 are first 2 kills, first turret, or first 100 CS. The Renekton is the lock-in against the Draven.
Got to use the melee.
I feel like XQW might have a little bit of the upper hand here, Cubby. I don't know.
Well, it depends. I think that he's going to have to go Snowball. I feel like Snowball is the move. And the big interaction, just looking at the 1v1 that we have here, stand aside the E from Draven, that does cancel the E from Renekton. So if he's got to be careful about waiting that one out, maybe flashing over it, using Snowball to get around it. And definitely the big ability for Karis to use to try and space this Renekton. That, and of course, every axe you catch refreshes your W. Bonus move speed when you're playing range in the melee, very important as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. I do like the range matchup, obviously, but I don't know. The tradition of ADC to Renekton's, he eats ADCs for lunch, so we'll see if we get to that point. Draven has been very popular in a lot of the 1v1s, though, just for the outright damage. I remember we got that 1v1 Draven v Draven that just died. They both died at level 1. It was great. We'll see if we get any finickiness like that.
That's actually the true gentleman's 1v1 is not only do you take the mirror matchup, but you also just trade kills, so it is a one-kill fest after that. That's respectable.
All right, we're getting into the 1v1 now. Who will gain blue side for game number 1? Would be a shocker if they selected red side, but
oh, well, okay, so it's Ignite for XQW, no Snowball, and it will be a Cleanse and PTA for Karis. So I will say, one of the nice parts about this format, Renekton actually really struggles until he gets level 3, so it is nice that he can start there. It makes him a lot stronger in this format. As you can see, good trade there. Able to utilize the bone plating early on and utilize the brush to make sure that the harass is kept to a minimum from Karis.
Okay, well, maybe we'll actually get to see a little bit more action than we expected. No 100 CS farms here as XQW gets a nice little half health trade on Karis.
Yeah.
You can go back, you can reset, so health trade's not too important.
XQW did miss out on an auto. I think good Renekton mechanics, if you can squeeze in the auto before the W, can be big. Was not able to get that in the last trade. You can see there, not in range for the W. Good job by Karis to space that. And some of the sustain for Renekton kicking in with that Cold and Meek. Really nice as good start so far for the Renekton.
That's the, I think the Victoria skin, if I'm correct. It looks pretty cool. I'm
not a huge fan. I have strong feelings. I have strong feelings when it comes to Renekton
Do you like the toy Renekton?
Renekton's alright. I'm very anti-Project Renekton. I actually think that skin should be banned. Because there are a few animations that you can hide. Cool. I don't like Black Frost. It's too basic.
My favorite's the Lifeguard one. I've had it since it
Lifeguard's
came out.
good. Pool Party's good.
Yeah, Pool Party is pretty good.
We also I personally use Blood Fury Renekton. It's a shout out to Wicked. Back from Season 2, CLG was the skin that he used. That was my first favorite team. I love that skin. I think the weapon's really cool. It's like got holes in it and everything. It's
got holes in it. You sold me, man.
Yeah, it's nice. That and Runic Ward, the old school ones that are nice. You love the good old skins, like Hillbilly Gragas, man. How can you beat that?
There's a lot of ways you can beat that. And it's called Esquire Gragas. Gragas isn't even in this. Oh, Karis in a little bit of trouble. He does have the Whirling Death. As he has hit level 6 and Dominus has already been popped. See if he actually wants to find an angle here, but I think they're just going to be trading health down, especially the Dominus is going to be falling off here.
Yeah, alt use potentially 2 bases coming in as just going to be matched. +1 CS for Renekton in a thrilling bout so far. All cannon minions secured, which is big. The cannon minions, as you might have seen on your screen, kind of super buffed. They're worth hundreds of gold, which is, I mean, I got to say, the cannon -1s are going to go really hard for the 1v1s.
True.
If you miss out on that, it feels extra bad.
How do you think they balanced that? Do you think they just typed in a random number? Or do you think it actually has statistical importance?
I don't know. Threw a dart on it. Threw a dart.
Threw a dart on a board that had a bunch of numbers on it.
Saw what kind of scaling you get, and you see there 177. As big trade, wasn't able to secure the plus sign. Ignite went
hit
down.
By the turret. This is bad for XQW.
Yeah.
You get followed on. That's the problem with the Renekton is you're just gonna have to walk away and take a couple hits on the way out.
Didn't love that usage of Ignite. I mean, I think the really what XQW is looking for is potentially a melee empowered W to pop the cleanse, get that elongated stun, also get the extra auto in there on the way in. But so far, Car's done a nice job of spacing that. Do want to say, I think oh, hold on. We almost had a Phage buy, which would have been a bit of a difference for the Renekton, because that would have helped him with the spacing and secure, because Phage does give some extra move speed. So I think that is an important item for this 1v1.
I think that could have been nice, especially for a little bit of an early spike. I know we're still a little bit far out from it, but we are going to have the Circle of Death coming sooner rather than later. So maybe trying to get any kind of buys in that are going to be of utmost importance there. As you see, heavy trades from both sides, but Karis using the range advantage pretty well here. Does this mean we get Draven mid during the series? I feel like you should have to play the... Oh, he wants it. He goes for the Dominus. Karis. Okay. He's going to just get run down. Still, yeah, still does have both summoner spells up for Karis. So, still looking pretty safe here for the Draven.
I do want to say that could get an all-in here. Oh, that's the stand aside burned early. I would really think about it. Karis messes up the spacing
wait for the heal. Oh, he stepped out. It's fine. He gets a couple auto attacks in there.
I don't think he wants to go in just knowing that... I mean, you could have went in and gotten the cleanse, frankly, which I think would have been a really nice trade, because if you get the cleanse, then that really opens up the alt flash. You know, Renekton just blows everything on you. Because you do want to start with flash with a lot of the Renekton combos, because then you can connect with both parts of E in terms of this matchup.
Ooh. All right, so we got swords and weapons by Karis. We got armor and Phage by XQW.
I like this from XQW. Like, he's really trying to abuse the move speed and spacing in this matchup. Both Phage and Warden's Mail are going to help with that. So with the Warden's Mail, I mean, the last autos for Karis, keep in mind with his kit, collecting the axes, the Ws, that matters in terms of how he's able to space. So if you slow down that attack speed with that item, every item's helping XQW with his spacing so far, which I actually like a lot.
It's the mini micro outplays in the build. So back to my serious question and most important thing right now. Do you think that players should have to play their 1v1 champion at least one time in their best of?
No. No.
Dang. Come on.
Do you want to see Hibernator? I would like to see Hibernator personally.
I'd like to see Flandre have to play Draven because he picked it in a 1v1. You know, that'd be kind of funny.
That would be funny.
Okay.
I mean, throughout his entire...
We were going for entertainment here.
Throughout his entire career, he has never been able to be the Shy. So, you know, just forcing him to, you know, try and do that once.
Man, this might be the most boring Renekton Draven 1v1 that I've ever been a part of.
Oh,
and
boy.
now they are forced to fight as the Ring of Fire.
Bramblevest.
Been called in. Okay.
I gotta say, I still like the build. I think...
Oh, he didn't back in time.
He's gonna eat some damage.
Is it enough? Yeah, he is gonna eat some damage.
No?
No. Oh, that's close.
I
that's
guess
like
blue side advantage.
Timing.
Blue side advantage. No,
that's perfect timing. Does he have an item? Oh.
Not sure.
Okay,
we're
gonna
have to switch back to the gold, or from the gold, on our observers. But
they don't want to switch. They don't want us to know. They just want us to know
I
that
favor
they spent the
Renekton.
money.
I favor
think
Renekton.
Karis
He's got BT.
Oh wow, that's actually a massive.
All Renekton has to do is just wait for this all to burn, and then get the cleanse with the W, and then ignite after. I think that's the strat.
Okay, well here he goes. He's just going straight balls to the wall here, Karis. He's going for the auto attacks. XQW is not even touched, bro. Come at me, man. He's having fun with his food, just like T-Rex in Jurassic Park, baby.
Karis just didn't do anything early, and the build was too good. You could see his teammates laughing. There was no way Renekton was going to lose that once he had the Phage, the Warden's Mill, the Bramblevest.
You thought it was going to go a little differently. And like after those first couple autos, you're like, okay, he's pumping.
Yeah,
and then you just see the health bar.
Rank 2 ult on Renekton, rather nice. So well played from XQW. Got to say, some props to him. And that's going to be side select for LGD. Got to believe it's going to be a blue side. We'll say if you look up the stats so far, I think one of the things that really says how one-sided LPL has been so far is that I think blue side's sitting at a 35 or 38% win rate.
Yeah.
And that's because if you lose, you get side select. So the losing teams have been taking blue side and keep on losing to the favorites. As we've yet to really have the close matchups.
There's where you get the real info.
Yeah, in these groups. But hey, today this is a matchup where these teams are a little bit closer in skill than what we've seen. Two expected bottom teams in this group going up against each other. Do or die, really, it's a must-win if they want to have any chance of getting out of these groups today. But expecting a closer series overall because of that.
I still can't believe that we've almost gone through 3 weeks now and...
No 5 games.
No 5 games.
Barely any 4 games.
Where is it? I've written... It's like I'm writing letters to Santa, but it's to the LPL. Like, please give me 5 games on Christmas or whatever day, Lunar New Year, anything. Like, I just need 5 games in my LPL. Maybe LGD can give it to us, but as we are getting closer and closer to the game itself, and especially draft, That's where I want to break down a little bit more of what we can be looking for. We already talked so much about the Rengar. I do think that is on the table at all times when Tianjin is in the series itself. But looking at the WE roster a little bit more, I want to see some flexibility with that top lane. I want to see some fun picks, maybe that tank Jace. Get some guaranteed wins there in your solo lanes at least, and then as well as enable Tianjin.
Yeah, I gotta say, I've come around a bit on the tank Jace, sadly. It's a bit too strong. I know, I believe LEC has Unending Despair disabled. The players voted to just disable it because it's too good of an item, and frankly...
That's so cheap.
I have to agree, because that's part of the reason that we're seeing the tank Jace, but yeah, I mean, Jace's base damage is actually really high with these builds. The W second, like, that static lightning on the melee W, if you're able to stay in the fight and abuse those items and keep on popping your Qs, yeah, it has been pretty big for Jace. So curious to see what ends up happening with at least where that pick falls in priority, but also interested to see, we did tease some of the pocket picks from these teams that we expect to appear today, and interested to see when and where those get picked up in draft. You gotta believe that if Rengar's up game one, that's going to be the jungler here for Team WE and Tianjin.
Maybe he's feeling a little scared. Maybe he wants to try to keep it open for a couple games. I actually really want to see the Tianjin Viego. We'll see if we actually get that. But we are into the first game of picks and bans. Remember, this is a fearless best of 5, so everything that you play will not be available in further games. LGD on that blue side that we predicted. Big brain. As Ashe, Zyra are the bans over there. It is the Callista Skarner ban by WE. A lot of the same bans we've been seeing repeatedly throughout the LPL as Varus also joins that table.
Yeah, and one thing that I've noticed in terms of Fearless draft is a lot of the times, like, AD is one of the smaller pools in Fearless. And so I feel like AD bans actually really define what you want to play. Ashe versus Varus is one of the handshakes that we've seen a lot of teams take and sign up for. Both of them being taken off the table by LGD. It's going to make for very different game one bot lanes. And with the first pick, Rumble, I mean, that is a pick that you love to pair with some utility bot lane. But, of course, those picks now off the table. Those are also two laners that can really abuse Corki bot. So I think the Corki bot flex this game, a lot more valid for Team WEs that's being picked up early.
Yeah, I think right now the standoff damage is going to be the case for WE. I mean, I could even see like Ezreal, stuff like that coming through early for them. The Sejuani continuing to go with a melee-oriented combo with the top trio for LGD, and they lock in the Yone. So they're just picking in their lanes right now. 1, 2, 3, right down the row.
Yeah, I think Galio's a decent pick here, but later on, you can get pushed around by Yone. Just Galio's going to go MR, and being a tank, Yone likely going Bork in the build will be able to mount you in the side lanes. So at the moment, I actually do like what LGD can do, because I feel like Yone has two really good side lane matchups. So finding more ways to set up and maybe punish that, I think Jhin goes up in value a little bit for LGD here.
True.
Won't be a blind, but just having, again, that utility. You have a ton of damage on the top side, so I think the setup here for LGD could be decent.
I'm just wondering how much priority we're going to give this Corki in terms of the... Because you have to get Corki to a place of promise if you really want it to be impactful. And now you're looking at focusing that AD role to give that lane a little bit of safety there as well and take some of those 2v2 setups away from Xiaoya. But that's exactly what we talked about, is what LGD want. They want to try to put pressure down there. So do you feel like it's going to be enough to try to play safe for Taeyeon?
I'm not sure. At the moment, the Draven bans, so I'm expecting that we see a marksman on 4, unless they want to just blind a support, which is possible, and then you can preserve the Corki flex if you want. Again, I actually think getting Corki out of mid is a pretty good call at the moment. I think that Corki can really play into this comp. They just need to see a little bit more bots, so blinding a support here, not bad. Alistar and Braum taken off the table. Something like Rakan, pretty blindable. And yeah, you can see the Akali ban. I like that ban a lot. That's, I think, it's a really good matchup in the Yone. It would have been good in this game. They don't have a lot of good CC for Akali. And yeah, they will keep with the Corki flex. Leona, really good pairing for Corki. Of course, that passive on Leona, it's really easy to proc that with Corki, all the abilities he has, and then the tick damage on the Gatling gun for the E. This is a lane that we've seen forever in League of Legends, so potentially see it again
Since the
here.
beginning of time.
Yeah, no, truly, since I've been watching League, and it is that old version of Corki, it's back, so...
True.
That said, Rel to help with the Wombo. That's good setup. The shield break, pretty valuable against Galio, too. If you get that in early, you can break that W shield. And now, I mean, maybe a Kaisa over the top. It's not... You get bullied by Corki, so...
Yeah, Ezreal.
Yeah, will be an Ezreal. A bit of a takeaway, too. Is
I'm a little worried.
Okay.
I'm a little worried. I mean, that's a lot of melee and short range for LGD. Yes, you have the Ezreal, but it's also, I mean, I guess it's decent teamfight setup, but you really have to set up Xiaoya to have some consistent damage for you. Him and XQW are going to be massive implications for LGD.
I don't think that Xiaoya has a lot of good targets. What I don't mind about
Me
this is
neither.
I think one of Taeyun's better champions is actually Ezreal, so it's a bit of a deny. And with LGD, you have all this dive, so Ezreal can just at least handle himself in the backline.
Hopefully.
But, yeah, hopefully.
It was the Aurora locked in last, so we did get that Galio top lane for Cube.
Yeah, Galio top was expected here into the Rumble. Again, I don't like it as much later on just because Yone can really abuse it in the side lane. And with that Aurora pick, it will be a little bit more early pressure down on the Yone. Ability to maybe open up Tianjin on this Xin Zhao to make some moves early in the game, as mid-prio will be heavily with Team WE in the early game. But I think playing 3 lanes for Team or LGD as this moves forward might be really tough for Team WE to deal with. So a lot for me rides on this Yone for LGD. If they can get him out of the early game, get him into the side lane, should be able to win any and all matchups thrown his way. And being able with that Sejuani, a threat of plays mid, always tough. And we'll see if Kars can deal with that.
I think Yone has not changed much from even the world's meta. He is still always past the 2-3 item mark, has the potential to win you games. And especially in a fearless system like this, you have to be able to capitalize on getting those picks. LGD, they did win that side select. They went ahead and got that blue side. They've drafted up this kind of huge fighting top trio here, but they really need to play to those successes, and I'm particularly looking at Climber and XQW to have some of those good connections. Meanwhile, WE on the other side, we've seen some struggles, but we need Tianjin to feel like himself. We need Cube to have some sort of impact, and both these teams looking to have some kind of impact on their Group A, as they both need desperately to find a series win.
Not bad in the Gios so far.
Not
I'm
bad,
hoping it's a
not
little bit
bad.
louder for game 2. Personally.
Yeah, waking up a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Do you want to say a couple interesting Keystone choices that I just want to highlight real quick? We got
Just
Rumble.
perusing.
Well, Rumble with first strike, it's really common to go Conquer against the Galio. But curious if we maybe even see the new item, the Bloodletter, being picked up by him second. And then also Ezreal Xiaoya on the Conquer, which is going to at least signal a little bit more for the team fight and scaling up damage rather than the PTA Ezreal that we sometimes see to help out a little bit in lane. So lane should very much be in favor of Team WE bot. And yeah, I think Team WE, I mean, their laning phase should be really solid across the board. You got Galio after the first few levels, really strong. And this Corki Leona should be winning in the bot side after a couple levels too.
I'm wondering if that's saying that it's
disabled?
not enabled. Yeah, I don't know though.
It
I
might
don't,
be.
Unfortunately, couldn't read it fast enough and screen cap it for Google Translate. But it would be interesting. I mean, if one professional region is doing it, I feel
Goodbye,
like
Tank Jace.
I feel like it would not be competitive integrity to not have other professional regions do it. But
I know that the LEC players voted on it, so it could be like league based, but we'll see. As so far, bot lane Ezreal level 1 always really good with the Q range, the passive attack speed. We will see that push early on. A couple levels needed for Taeyun and Vampire. Worth noting, Taeyun did miss out on some experience, so is down a level compared to his support. Could be impactful later on. And each of our junglers clearing towards the top side.
Maybe see if they can give some love to this top lane matchup, or mid lane at least. Maybe a little bit of wrap around, or maybe neither. Maybe they do nothing. Vampire has hit that level 2 mark, so W feeling a little bit more confident to step up. Are clearing out some of that warding down there, but there won't be any help come from the jungle anytime soon. And speaking of some of that potential lane setup, do you expect there to be any focus from Climber towards XQW anytime early? I mean, I feel like Yone really doesn't become a serious threat even until that first item, Blade of the Ruined King, things along those lines.
It depends. I think that with help, just setting the Aurora behind so that she can't play as far up is actually really good for the Yone. Just taking a flash, I think, would be big. But at the moment, you can see he's going to default to the bot crab, as that is where he has priority. And the first window for mid plays will be open. Wards towards the top side for Team WE. So if Climber were to sneak in, this bot side would not be spotted. And Yone's wave is pushing up. We'll see if Xin wants to make any moves for Tianjin. But
you know what,
it's going to be a bit of a handshake early.
This is probably one of the first games I've casted that isn't a lane swap early or has any lane shenanigans early. Both these teams, you know, they're bringing back the old school League of Legends, and we appreciate that with old school orgs. They will be getting a back off on award there, so a little bit of information given over to Team WE. And with a reset from Tianjin a little bit ahead of the pace, going down towards bot side, we have seen teams very willing to switch up the map for those first grub spawns, but we'll have both junglers towards this bot side to start it off.
Yeah, I like the highlight on the grub spawn and the potential lane swaps we see, because the bot lane priority has been with LGD so far. And we did send YCX back. So he's going to work his way towards mid lane, but the timer that he based on, it's a little bit early for a potential swap towards the top side, something that I think is just okay for LGD, because if, you know, we're going to put Rumble and Galio against more numbers on the other side, you'd rather be Galio in that scenario. His kit makes him really tough to dive, and he's just going to be more valuable on lower econ compared to Rumble. So I don't know if we're going to see the swap or not, but yeah,
we are going to get 2 full clears, which, you know, feels
good leading up to grubs. And so far the swap
good, Cubby.
Yeah, I mean, it does for the junglers. Yeah, it does for the junglers. The swap will be initiated by Team WE. So again, that first base by YCX, they lost tempo on the bot side. Team WE got the wave in, and they're going to be the ones to initiate the swap. But LG, they've been sniffing this out. They're actually going to put Ezreal and Rel mid, which I like. They would have been late to that top side. So Yone will be forced to catch this, but after this, they should have mid priority and will be able to enter a grub fight or skirmish through the mid lane or through the bot side of this top side river.
Yeah, they're getting that push going through. LGD looking to try to get that priority from mid lane. Do have TP available for Cube and Sasa, and trying to see if they can get here for
Cube?
a potential 5-on-5.
Yeah, Cube also has push, so he got this wave in, and Galio's really strong at these fights. I mean, level 6 Galio, that ult in his kit, if he's able to get a big grand entrance and find a big taunt, I mean, that can really spell doom for the fight. And it looks like LGD is respecting this. Again, LGD, for me, it's about scaling. They need to scale up in this game in order to get going, as 2 grubs will be secured
both ways
by Team WE. And again, they have to return and manicure their lanes, so they don't want to lose too much golden XP. We'll just take the 2 grub victory, and I think an okay handshake played out by both of our teams so far. I do give a little bit of preference over to LGD just because I favor their comp as this game goes on. I like the damage, I like their ability to play 3 lanes, so I think, you know, avoiding the fight and only going down 1 grub is fine for them. The upcoming grub fight where they have more levels, more items should be better for their team.
Typically, I do like to see Xin Zhao skirmish a little more, and so I would love to see maybe a little bit more proactivity to fight that
That's a
fire
good highlight too, yeah.
for WE. Because, I mean, kind of sitting back and waiting for these big team fights and things like that, I feel like isn't going to help WE in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I like the highlight. You want to use the power of Xin early, and if like once Sejuani gets an item, especially with the item that Climber's going for, potential Heartsteel off the bat, Xin just cannot move you if you end up going this. And yeah, he's got a couple tanks to farm this off of, specifically the Galio, Leona as well. So wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being the Heartsteel if you just see him go attack Cube just for the sake of getting a stack or 2. will be interesting to look out for.
That's the
Hey,
dopamine gameplay
why
that we
not?
need, man. I like the fact that the pro players do it too. That just justifies all my Heartsteel builds in ARAM and everywhere else.
I mean, please, Riot.
They're human too.
I want Grubs nerfed a little bit, and Green Tree needs to be nerfed a little bit too. This overgrowth point, and too many people are abusing it. We got grass being built on everyone, and Heartsteel is being built on junglers. A lot of it's because of overgrowth.
That's why Cubby
existing.
decided to join the LPL English unofficial setup, is to have a place to mauld about the decisions in the new season.
I did that regardless, Lane, but I appreciate it.
It's a constant struggle, all right? It's a constant struggle.
You watch a lot of League, and you figure out things that are OP or not. They know as well. But, yeah, I think the use of Grubs in solo queue versus the competitive environment. Grubs are very balanced solo queue. Competitive, not so much. It's a little bit too strong when you get the advantage, you get to walk around the map. So, the constant battle for League of Legends, you know.
Speaking of constant battle with League of Legends, unfortunately, we don't have timers in this game. So we'll see how time goes on.
I've got it in my head, Lennon.
But we'll have to keep an eye on
I'm going to gut check this. Dragon hasn't been taken yet. That's easy.
No way. You're so good, Hubby. You're so good.
Grub should be spawning here in like 90 seconds, just about, likely based on the take. So notice how I'm a little bit questioning that. So
yeah. You're not confident.
The lack of timers did affect my confidence.
We're gonna move forward. Tianjin has gone ahead and started up the Dragon here with full team backing from Vampire and Taeyun. He also has Karis moving over. I do wonder if LGD want to contest this to some extent, because it's not like they can burn this Dragon very fast, and you have Climber coming out of base. A big True Shot barrage is going to signal that this is going to be contested. TP coming in from the other side. You have Sasu coming to join. He does have Equalizer, and there's a lot of choke points here, Cubby. Going in with the in-between worlds. WE just want the fight. Big combos coming through, but Cube is able to stop a lot of the damage, parting them like the Red Sea, but XQW is finding purchase here, and the Yone is off to a 1-0-1 start, and the Dragon is LGD's.
Great opener for LGD, and gotta praise Salse and his ability to get into this fight. That TP and his Equalizer was fantastic in setting things up. The follow-up from XQW was quite good, but he was really just there to stall time and use his health bar. Did get out in time. It was the Rumble that ended up driving this fight home. As you can see, this starts of the fight. I don't love the Aurora ult. Like, Xiaoye is never really going to be under threat.
Wow.
He gets a free exit, but this Rumble ult was melting everyone. XQW, his ability to get in and out was too good. And Rumble, so many cooldowns were burned early on in the fight. He just goes untouched, gets to dump all his damage onto multiple members of Team WE. And that was the big difference maker in the skirmish for me.
I just watched Tianjin flash down the Equalizer. Oh, it's okay.
Well,
okay. It's fine. It was a really, really, really nice attempted rebuttal there by Cube. I actually think the entrance with the heroic entrance was really nice. But, dude, Sasu's Equalizer melted them. And the fact that we're getting this kind of coordination early on in this best of 5 means that LGD have learned a lot of the lessons that maybe was plaguing some of the earlier games in their last series. The early game up to like 15-20 minutes was always felt refreshing for LGD, but I need to see them kind of hold on to that.
Yeah, they're gonna have to hold on a little bit too. It's gonna be 4 grubs to 2. I think this is okay for LGD. Again, as this game goes on, I favor them in the side lanes. Yone should be able to win whatever side lane that he's in. And I like how they have him into Cube, who, of course, is going Magic Resist, rightfully so, as his lane matchup is Rumble. But you can see LGD trying to shift the Yone into the Galio. And, yeah, it's going to force a response from Team WE. As you can see, they're flipping their solo lanes to get better matchups for themselves. Like that game of cat and mouse that LGD is playing. I think it's really solid play with the Yone on his strengths weaknesses. Doesn't have the Bork yet, but once he's able to get that, we'll be much better at getting through the Galio.
I'm going to take a look back. I believe this is what happened
Are we going to flash?
The fight?
Oh, no! I knew something was up, Michelle.
I thought they were going to slow-mo it or something. I thought, I'd get the directed cam out here and watch him do it.
This is why we put Flash on D. He fat-fingered F and cleanses the lower cooldown.
I'm here with the Flash on D gang, by the way.
Wow, we're gonna make a lot of people mad back home with both of us being on the Flash on D gang.
I'm just saying, get good. Like, there's obviously a user error if you have it on F. I don't know.
F for fat finger, and we fat fingered the lower cooldown. You know, it's not.
That feels a little bad though for Xiaoya as maybe one of his only exit tools.
Yeah, it's fine. You know, I love
heavy comp.
I love when people are like, you know, we need more pro players to use their F keys. That's not the one we mean. That's the wrong one. Sorry, I had to fit that bad joke in.
Yeah, you had to get it in there. You just had to force it. Just stuff it in there.
Importantly, Bork completed for Yone. So
Heartsteel also completed, more importantly for Climber.
And I do like what LGD is doing. You can notice that they're being really disciplined in playing out 3 lanes, but the help for LGD is always on the side of the Yone, because this is the pick that you want to support. If you have Sejuani on that side of the map, really tough to win skirmishes against that 2v2, that 3v3. And it does enable Yone to actually push up and play with tempo. Rumble's fine catching, and if they really attack him, Equalizer can just be dropped on the wave and pretty much neutralize that timer for 1 wave. So again, I think the strat that LGD is playing, we see a lot of Rumble, Yone, Sejuani top sides, but do want to credit them for playing this one correctly.
I've actually been really impressed by some of the macro decisions by some of these teams, especially early on into the 2025 season. And honestly, that speaking of LGD a little bit more, that's what impressed me so much about those early games against AL, and being able to see just fluid movements around the map on those timers, especially with how many neutral objectives there are now. As you see, speaking of neutral objectives, Rose is starting to spawn. That means Atakan is lurking about and will be bot lane.
Yeah, and definitely going to be Voracious, which is pretty much all we've seen in pro play. If you watch pro play, you probably think there's only one version of Atakan. It's pretty much always been the one.
It's gonna change. It's gonna change.
Yeah, it is. But at in the early season, it's always been the dopamine Otacon, which is you get the GAs and you get to go in, and your death doesn't really matter. You just respawn, only give over a cannon minion's worth of gold. So that's a Climber. Heartsteel.
Oh goodness. Dopamine gamer.
That's a big chunk actually.
It does a lot of damage. Like, it is no joke.
Yeah,
I do wonder, though. Okay, so we're getting set up around this dragon. Since it just spawned, be a second dragon a little bit late on the timers for these. It was LGD that got it first and foremost. XQW is going to try to spot out some of the warding that WE has put around here.
Yeah, if you're WE, I think that you are down gold, but your comp for me, stronger now. It's fight, 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 whatever spawns. I also... Yes, WE, like we've talked a lot about the side lanes, and we like what LGD is able to do with pressuring the Yone lane. It's tough for Team WE to win these sides, but it did have the grub advantage 4-2, and we really saw them do nothing with that. They're catching their lanes, and they're catching bot, and the Galio's pushing at top. That doesn't really give them anything on the map, so I don't like the lack of proactivity we've seen with TPs now being up. We do see Cube trying to make his way towards the bot side. Would love to see an overload onto this Rumble, and maybe just try and get a turret down or something going, because Team WE, again, they have the comp that, for me, stronger early on. They lost the first fight. They've done really nothing proactive on the map, and for me, that's just kind of giving LGD their win cons. As you can see, this Yone continues to get items. Stridebreaker going to be second for him, and you're going to lack damage to really take him down early on, which is going to be just problems and more problems for Team WE. So I do not think they're in good shape in this game, and would love to see them do something proactive. But
the track I see for WE is that they do feel like, especially with the Aurora and the Corki, that they do have some scaling to combat some of that. But when XQW is jumping straight on you and using his combo, like you're just not even going to be able to do any damage. So we'll see if that actually plays out that way, as WE want to contest for this. We have double TPs coming in, triple TPs coming in. Vampire getting engaged on big equalizer. And Sasa has set up the red carpet for his team multiple times, but Kara's trying to roll it back up and put it right back at him. LGD falling apart here. XQW resets to the other side of the fight. Tianjin goes ahead and finishes off the Rift Herald. Sasa going to burn on Taeyun. Gets him. He's cooking. Ooh. That's a double kill. Looking for a triple, but now Xiaoya is the one to pick up the slack. Another one falls, and it's Xiaoya versus Karis now, as it's XQW has gone to the mid wave, and that is the slugfest we were waiting for.
The opening to that fight actually wasn't too bad for Team WE, but they still came out behind in the back half thanks to some great Rumble play from Xiaosa, as he's been fantastic on this pick to open up this series, Mazel. Really good equalizer in the back fight, too. Love how he held his overheat until he could really use it at a good time. You want to look at the replay? The one thing I'm going to look at, Cube might have been able to pick one side of the fight here and go on to Climber, who did whiff his ult and was low. So it's a good grand entrance. I think here, I mean, you could pick the fight. Like, that zoning doesn't do too much. Rumble was overheated. He's not going to use any cooldowns. If he goes to the other side of the fight, maybe he gets on the Yone sooner.
He never went and picked it up, I just realized.
Yeah, we'll see. But, I mean, all eyes on Sousa in the back half of this fight, taking the 1v4 and taking 2 down with him. Really, really well done by LGD. And, yeah, Rift Herald was secured by Team WE, but not in the inventories. No one got the eye. And LGD, I mean, again, they got more kills on their carries. This Rumble is ginormous now, working his way towards a Void Staff. Things not looking good for Team WE.
And everybody dropped a lot of questions. Speaking of, I'm dropping questions right now. Tianjin caught out. That's the second troubling decision in quick succession that we've seen. And he'll go down to XQW.
Yeah, trying to get that kill over to Yone. Did have to burn the ult as Sundered Sky used to get some health back to surprise XQW a bit. But still, Tianjin really caught out there. A nice use of the Blast Plant to spot the Zen. And now with the numbers advantage bot side, LGD has been doing nothing but supporting Yone in the side lane, and now it's going to finally bear fruit in that bot outer turret. And they spent the entire game like just really hovering him, making sure he can always get his farm, get ahead, which is, again, I think how you should like, that's the way you play this setup with Rumble Yone and Sejuani. Just go support the Yone. So for me, LGD has done a really good job of playing some good fundamental League, which is a bit surprising from a team that, we've pitched as young. Yes, they won LDL, but sometimes we see these younger teams get pushed in terms of macro, or like, usually it's not as much hands, it's experience, from what I've seen. But at the moment, it's been a really solid showing from LGD today.
Yeah, I think XQW deserves a ton of praise. I mean, he was one of my stars even in their loss against AL, but he is a guy who has been working through this LGD system. I mean, funnily enough, the first start he ever got in LDL was on WE Academy, which is hilarious. All these years down the road since 2020, see this guy go up against WE in the actual LPL. But, I mean, that's a small little point to the fact that this guy has been a part of this LGD system for a long while. And, being rewarded for that championship in the LDL in summer, him and Climber being those two coming up through that system, it's been really refreshing to see a guy like this actually go toe-to-toe with some people in the LPL and have a strong start to his rookie season.
I mean, it had a really respectable series again against Anyone's Legend for me. And nice game one here. Again, LGD, I think, playing well as a team. Dragon is up. We do have the Chem Soul. Soul point for LGD on the table. And that 2-item spike we thought WE was waiting for, well, they're late to the fight, and they're late to those spikes. You can see Ezreal, one of the perks of this matchup against Corki, same build path.
Oh my god,
oh boy.
He didn't even take any damage, Cubby. It's not even fair. Karis just lost his entire health bar.
I mean, again, great vision setup and good use of fog, and I love how LGD are playing slow. They had a ward that did just get snuffed out by a control ward, but they're going to see if Team WE makes any missteps because they still want to fight. They realize that their comp is stronger at the moment. Again, Ezreal and Corki, same build path. Ezreal is just straight up beat Corki to that 2-item spike. So LGD feeling really good right now, and maybe even going to consider an Otacon threat.
No matter how far ahead you are in the game, the fear that Atacon puts in our pro players is hilarious to me to watch, because they are so scared to start up this objective with how much damage it does and how quick a turnaround can completely flip the game. If you lose that objective, you give over those GAs, all of a sudden your gold swing looks wild.
Yeah, and I mean, at the moment, LGD don't really need to take too much risk. They're pretty happy playing out these 3 lanes. Especially, I mean, I think it's really telling that Cube is going for the Randu and Zoman next, going up against Yone, who is the one person that can crit, and also being matched up against the Rumble. Now, he has been mostly spending his time against Yone because LGD's gotten that lane assignment right in the side lane, but not exactly what you want to be doing as the Galio. Usually it's Rickmaker next. Rel going to take some damage.
I mean, this is overzealous right now. They go ahead and pop that heroic entrance. They get the double CC chain. Tianza just going in, but look at that equalizer. It's cutting off the team. Ooh. It's choking them to death. It's Sasu. It's the one with the grip. Sasa is the one with the flame spitter as well to help back them off. That is the voracious Atacon burning down quickly, and WE have no hope in that fight.
Gotta say, LGD making a fan out of me with how young these players are. The LDL champions, they're just playing textbook League this game, man. It feels like Team WE just have absolutely nothing to throw at them in terms of throw them off their game. As, yeah, they get a pick, they find Rel, but with how tanky Rel is, YCX does his best to just stall this one out. LGD, they have all the prio in the lanes. Mid got the wave in. They're rotating over. They get people into the choke, and then just a beautiful equalizer being dropped from Xiaose, who's got to be the MVP this game from what we've seen so far. This Rumble, every fight has been fantastic from him. Has another beautiful red carpet drop to make sure that the rest of Team WE could not follow the few members down the red carpet. LGD get those picks, get the objective, and now get to play the rest of the map. Top outer turret being threatened by XQW, and you got to believe it's going to be given and should fall.
Sasa has not had a single bad equalizer, which is impressive to say because we've seen some of the best in the league mess that ability up consistently. I'm going to cast a curse the hell out of Sasa now as he's just by himself down here.
He's using the new buff.
Yeah, you know, that's what it is. He get a quick pack for 100 gold. Easy trade as they do
has
get
empowered
the turret
TP,
on top side.
so I mean, you could TP top and make a tempo play here with both Xin and Galio being spotted. I like the base from Tianjin to try and defend against that potential play. But LGD, they don't want to rush anything. Inner's not going to be threatened yet because now all the outers are taken.
No,
now Taeyun is on his
poor
own.
Structure. Also, Feats of Strength had been acquired by LGD.
Yeah.
If you don't know what Feats of Strength are, it is the new buff to be fighting for early and unlocks better boots for you. As XQW is being completely surrounded, but he has that GA, so he's just fighting for the Krug. Look at how much money he's grooving. As
Tianjin didn't want to go in.
Back off? What? I guess they didn't expect the rest of the team to be there.
Rel and Sejuani could have rotated to help out, but a bit surprised they didn't just take this and try and force anything with that.
Dude, LGD is going to go in. Yeah, I mean, you have all the GAs available. Why not just push the limit, push the very nature of it, and let Atacon spew forth here as they get all the ultis underneath them. And there's the quick resets out.
Well,
a little bit not worth, but you know.
That wasn't fantastic, but we used the buff. 400 gold connected for Team WE, yeah? Big time, huh?
There you go. That's what you know.
All right.
Sometimes when the coach just says, make sure to use the buff, you're just like, hey, I did what he said. I did what he said. I went in and I fought. Speaking of going in and fighting, we got Dragon coming up in less than a minute as well. It is Soul on a Chemtech Soul for LGD. Does WE have a chance of fighting, and who does it come from, Cubby?
I'll check real quick. It's only Tianjin and, of course, Corki with the Rockets. But LGD with Xiaoye on this Ezreal. Mid-prio very easy to secure. And, they're looking to fight Vampire.
Okay, wow, Vampire just dying out as well. He's going to have to back off immediately, and that's a massive tool down with the Solar Flare gone. That's Dragon 4 free skis for LGD.
Really good Ezreal play coming out from Xiaoye there, because I just love how he pushed off Leona. Obviously, Vampire way too far up there, but the back half of that play to chunk out Tianjin and get the flash, really well done by Ezreal, just realizing, hey, we're up in the fight, can push forward, push people away from the objective, as it's an easy secure and an easy soul for LGD. Well, it's been an easy game for them overall.
So far, so good. About a 4,000 gold lead for them. All the objectives besides those grubs going over. And I guess the Rift Herald that didn't get dropped in the pocket of WE. But now it's reaching the point of their strength, right? We're almost on that 3-item spikes for XQW. We're almost on a 3-item spike for Xiaoye. This is the prime time for this composition. And that proactivity It's coming way too little too late from WE.
I mean, like, Team WE just did not do what they needed to do on this map. Like, I mean, I can't think of a single play that they took that, like, went their way or was good. I guess shout out to Karis, who's been decent this game, but still, like, the game plan for me, if I think about Team WE's comp, it's, hey, we got to play and try and get some bot prio, or, you know, we have targets that we can gank as Xin. Galio brings so much gank assist, and we only saw them take down the Rumble when he had Otacon and could instantly respawn, so it's kind of like, where were the plays? When first grub fight goes sideways and it just wasn't played well by WE, felt like they just had no other answer, no other tries, and let themselves get outscaled into a spot where this game just gets worse and worse, so not a very inspiring performance from Team WE in this one.
It's never something that you love to see, especially when things are already not looking too great, and especially when there's so much pressure on you. We've already mentioned a million times. We'll mention a million more that you have to win these best of 5 because you only have 3 total. I cannot believe that turret just survived on 34 health, by the way. You have to win these best of 5s to try to survive in your group because top 2 make it out, bottom 2 are done until spring, and both these teams already sitting at 0 and 1 with the other 2 respective titans of the group at 1 and 0. I mean, the back's against the wall here, so hoping to see WE pull themselves out of it, but this one has been a little bit of a lame duck to start us off.
Well, not for LGD. It's just been Team WE.
Clinical.
We're kind of questioning where
do we get
Team
boots?
WE's at.
Do we get the boot upgrades? That's honestly when we get these games like this, I'm always like, that's my first thought. Is I go to questioning who actually buys the tier 3 boots.
I think really valuable for Sejuani this game, that magic damage shield against 2.5 sources. Yona does.
I feel like Yone likes it. You know, the movement speed.
Yeah, not bad. I
Not too
think
shabby.
I don't think Rumble should get it. We just get more damage on Rumble, which I like. We have the Rift Maker completed, which is the standard build here when you're going up against the Galio. And when you're this far ahead, Rift Maker does feel really nice on Rumble. It's kind of feels like a win more item.
The fact that he's on 3 items before everybody else is just by far
also deserved because let's be real, Sauce's had a fantastic game.
Not a single bad equalizer.
Yeah,
like,
he's had a
Salsa
fantastic
has just been on
game.
point. Okay.
And
see what we get in the bottom
uninspiring performance continues, Mazel.
Oh, they're just not okay. Well, we're just gonna get the Baron. He's getting the turret right now, by the way, underneath the ire of Cube. He actually got it. Baron goes down. He ain't need no Baron. He's a free independent Yone. Tianjin just goes in by himself, questioning where he was and where he's been. And I can tell him that it's in the grave.
Yeah, easy flash engage there from YCX. Good tracking as Tianjin doesn't yet have his flash available. From one Xiao, you got it out of him. And, I mean, just the beatdown continues, man. I haven't seen a lot of LPL games that have been this one-sided or where we've just seen teams refuse to fight or refuse to, play their way back in. Again, this is Team WE. Like, look at their comp. This comp gets outscaled. If you look at Rumble, Yone, Ezreal, like, these are champs that are going to beat you later on in the game. You're on timers if you're going to play Corki, play Aurora, and play especially Xin Zhao, and to just not have the proactivity, and then when you get behind, not really try anything else. Just kind of a bummer of a game 1 here from Team WE.
Just been a little bit of a disconnect in communication. What they want to do is I see multiple different members ping multiple different places and trying to figure out where to go. Don't know, obviously, if that's actually the case or how the communication is working out, but with the gameplay that we've seen, there's definitely something off a little bit in terms of when they want to decide to go. But now maybe trying to clean that up a little bit going forward in this best of 5. It is a best of 5, so we have a lot of room for wiggling, if you will. But there is a move from WE out to their blue side to try to get some and recoup some of this jungle from themselves. They got it. Let's go, Cubby. They did it. Blue buff for everybody.
If we're rooting for blue buffs at this point, it's tough. Do we root when do we root for LGD stealing the red buff now?
Yes.
That would be a nice yoink before Elder spawns. We do have Elder. New season, same Elder pretty much as it is the game-defining buff.
Wait.
All right.
XUW, I swear he must have just saved up a ton of money because he was literally on 2.5 items. I was talking about how he had how Salsa had 3 items over. He's literally on 4.5 items now. The man had like 5,000 gold
farming
in his inventory, or what?
He was farming.
That's against the law, XQW. It's against the law. And so is WE existing in this game number 1, apparently, as LGD have summoned the coppers, and WE actually find a little bit of a pick on XQW, but they're losing their base.
Yeah, don't worry. It only took 3 ults to make sure that XQW fell. Will be a reset. Yone being off the board means that the push probably ends here. And I gotta say, I don't love that play from LGD because you do have Elder up and there's no TP on XQW, so you actually have a timer here where WE might be able to look, might be able to get fancy. I do like how Genjen and Vampire were looking to see if LGD made any bad moves to try and pick him out. That's the right move, even if it doesn't lead to anything. But yeah, that did slow down the game a little for LGD with this Baron buff, so I don't love the 1-for-1 to trade out the 2 inhibitors, even if it is 2 inhibs, because Elder's the game-ending buff, and you're at least going to give WE the chance to hit it, which they're going to take.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
You got to hit it. I mean, we haven't tried anything this game. You might as well try to hit this first when you actually have an angle. Cube has TP. Oh,
they got
TP coming in.
That's going to be Cube joining. He's got the heroic entrance. Vampire getting about half health. Oh, God. Oh, God. I've seen this before. Things are going down. Hit the red button. Emergency. Emergency. Taeyun is down. Man down. Dragon taken by Tianjin. He gets the bounty. Is the Elder Dragon going to be enough? As you hear the silencing of the wings. WE. They're trying so damn hard, but it's not going to be enough. Even with the Elder Dragon, their sins are too great, and LGD will end game number 1.
The ults were a little bit desync there from LGD. That equalizer, it did get a kill on Corki, but that was the first one that didn't hit the entirety of Team WE. But this time, the team had Saucy's back, able to back up the Rumble, and XQW even getting involved with that Fate seal to make sure the Fate is sealed for Team WE game 1 as LGD going to take a really clean map from them. Well played across the board. Got to give them some credit for that.
This is the continuation of cleanliness that I wanted to see in that AL series when we saw them actually have decent early games. First 15 minutes looking good, but faltering when it came to those big-time decisions. Here, didn't have to make many of those big-time decisions and just cleanly executed the map. They knew what their strategy was from the draft, and they executed it very well. I can really appreciate LGD's resolve, at least coming into this best of.
Yeah, shout out to Salse, who easy MVP vote from me. I expect him to get that, but man, I gotta say,
you think Sasa gets it?
Yeah.
I think it's got to be XQW.
I know that he farmed up a lot in the back half, but the Rumble was too impactful in those early fights. I gotta give it over to him. So, but yeah, I mean, from the Team WE perspective, I mean, man, you either got to play scaling if you're gonna play like that, or really try to make plays early. I really do not like one of my cardinal sins for League. If we're going to get outscaled in the game, like, why aren't we doing anything? And yes, it led to an Elder flip that wasn't the worst scenario because of a mistake that LGD made. But, like, you're playing Xin, you're playing Leona, you got a Galio topside. I mean, where's the attempts to, like, make plays? And when things go wrong, where's the attempt to punish some of those flashes being down? Like, we didn't have a single moment in that game where it's like, hey, this guy's missing tools. We'll see if Team WE can punish. They were always on the back foot. I do want to give LGD credit for how they play the map and the side lanes. I think when you play Rumble Yone, that duo, it is really defined. Just, hey, go support the Yone. Rumble's on his own. It's okay. And we saw that with Salse being on his own, he still had a massive impact in the fight. So LGD does deserve some credit for how they played out that draft, which I think they did well. But just no deterrence from Team WE, which was a real bummer. I mean, that was not a very inspiring game 1 from them.
Yeah, I hope we get a little bit of a turnaround. It is Fearless, so we'll see different picks, no doubt. I also got to give a little caveat. I feel like Tianjin, he'll be the one that takes a lot of the blame for this series, but when you're the only person trying to be proactive, sometimes it can look really bad. And I think there had to have been some kind of miscommunications or how they wanted to play the game or whatnot. I really hope to see that cleaned up, but I think it was just a holistic breakdown for the entire team. So we'll see if they maybe get something a little bit more comfortable or confident for themselves to try to rebuff this LGD team who is looking to try to get that win and make sure that they keep themselves in the conversation.
I gotta say, like, I think we've seen some promising things from LGD early on in the season. I mean, they did not roll over and die.
Sasa gets 66%.
As he
so
should.
So far.
As he
Sasa's
should.
a goat.
We do respect Saucy, but I gotta say, LGD, I mean, they didn't roll over and die against anyone's legends. Like, they actually
Yeah.
played some decent maps, and I think the sentiment around that was like, oh, Tarzan had a bad series, which he did. It wasn't a great day for anyone's legends, but I mean, if LGD is going to take care of business against teams like this, then maybe we have to put more respect on the LDL champions' names from last year, them coming up to LPL and actually putting up solid maps, not just like with hands, but just textbook league. I mean, that was promising from LGD. They really took care of business in a league that, for me, the stigma of LPL has always been that teams like to not take care of business and drop random maps. If we could have a young squad come up and really, play well, play just textbook league against these teams they should be beating, then that's a good sign. And I just want to see more turns from WE. That was not a good map from them. Like, I can't highlight good things they did in that map. I really cannot. They were just always on the back foot.
And we have to talk about the kind of draft that we got, the first 3 at least for LGD. I mean, that is a powerful as heck draft. Not only are you getting Rumble, because we've seen Rumble pretty much completely banned in a lot of the series, but you're able to log down such a hefty trio of the Rumble, Sejuani, Yone, and realize that you have an absolute winning condition in XQW and playing towards that combination of XQW and Climber. I think it's just, they set out the path from them. Everybody could see where they were going and what they were doing, but nobody could stop them.
Yeah, I think the only adjustment, maybe a Silas instead of Aurora. Silas and Ione, not a bad matchup. You would have had a few good ults to grab that game. That's one thing I can think of in terms of the change. But yeah, you are giving away a really strong first 3. Like, other things to play into it. I like the Akali ban that LGD did, so I feel like they took care of some homework there, because that's one of the picks that's better into Yone and that you can actually play. Like, Sejuani CC and Akali, it doesn't matter too much with the Shroud and the movement you get. But yeah, I mean, again, you are giving away something strong.
These equalizers.
I think for me, like, maybe not splitting up the Rumble Yone would have been the mistake, because a pick like Galio just gets nerfed a lot by something like Yone. And that is a matchup that I really do like into Rumble topside. Like, it's playable. You can win games. You have clear win cons. But again, they didn't really hit them. And I don't think that's as much on Cube as it was on the rest of WE. But just not an inspiring performance from WE. We're going to look for a lot more from them in the next map.
And just really good team fighting from LGD. Everybody showed up at the right time. And maybe not as dominant of a bot lane 2v2 as I was expecting coming into the series. But they still got to show their stuff, especially that early level 2 gain there. So I expect a lot of good things from LGD moving forward, and maybe a little bit more skeptical to Team WE. Maybe Rengar comes through. Maybe we do just get the full-fledged comfort coming out for them. But I think that could be an answer moving forward at least, and try to find something, because this is a tough situation. It's a team that not a lot of people believe in as well, and you've got to try to find something to hold on to in that regard.
I'd love to see some Climber lease into the Rengar. That'd be a fun matchup that we might
that
get later on.
That would be a fun matchup. Can we please get that? That'd be like a gift.
That would be a gift. So, I mean, that said, I want to make jokes about gifts and LGD getting that game 1, but I think I'll hold back.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
They're already down, man. They're already down. They already lost. Come on. See who gets POG. It is going to be Sasa on the Rumble. He got so many votes. And honestly did so much work with those equalizers. At least the first 3 were game-deciding equalizers.
I do want to throw out, too, I mean, talked a lot about how you play out this draft and focus on the Yone if you're jungle support. It means you're playing away from Rumble. It never really felt like Salse was on weak side because of how well he handled it. I mean, was really comfortable catching waves, pushing up the right waves, and the one time that he did go down, yeah, he had Otacon, so it's fine, right? He's just going to respawn and rejoin his team. And those equalizers were, I honestly, picture perfect. I think the ones that he dropped, especially that one by where Otacon spawned to split up the rest of Team WE, real highlight from me. So a great performance from Salse, who put up a great map, and love to see the Rumble play coming out and be used that well. This fight especially, and just holding on to the overheat until this moment. Flashing it and chasing it down. That is a good death. That was the only death we saw from him this game. So, yeah, well worth it.
I mean, you just see these equalizers. There's just not much that WE can do against them. Maybe giving them a little bit of flame to their namesake, at least in their red coloring. But what a way to go about it. And Sasa, I mean, we focus so much on Climber and XQW, but the fact that he's able to take that 5 out of 8 vote, actually, for the MVP is pretty huge. So glad to see him.
Climber? We're trolling if we're voting
It could
climber.
have been, yeah, true.
Is that a media Keck W vote with the mid jungle? Because that's a big thing on LCK. You know, we love the media Keck W votes. Yeah.
I am happy that, you know, they first picked the Rumble and it actually does work, because you'd hate to see resources like that given and not really paid off in that regard. So really nice stuff from LGD. We can talk about them all day long, but honestly, we'll probably see more games of them, so maybe not. But that does mean we're getting to the point where we have to talk about our Kofi. It's the middle of the night, by the way. We're casting LPL from LA. Sometimes it's hard to have energy. It's hard to stay energetic for a broadcast. Luckily, thanks to the support of our coffee subscribers, fans have donated 69 nice coffees to us to keep us wired and ready. One of them is in his cup right now. The 68 other ones you can't see because I've strategically hidden them. Since this is a fan-run broadcast, though, we rely on subscribers from Coffee, from YouTube, from Twitch to support the stream. We all do this out of the love for the league and the want for our league to be covered in a traditional broadcast sense. If you subscribe, you can unlock perks like early access to content, access to exclusive channels on Discord, and also potentially give us some questions for those interviews that we'll have coming up. Please join now. Please support us. Everything that goes into this goes to the stream, goes to improving the daily experience of the stream. So thank you all so much for everybody that's tuned in.
Yeah, do just want to add in, obviously, the early support's been fantastic, but we have content plans that's going to be exclusive to the Ko-Fi, and also our producer, Kelsey, did say that she's got 1.75 liters of coffee for this one, so might need some more coffees with the rest of us in the early morning.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Might need it. Well, everybody go get your coffees, go get ready, because we got more games to catch. After a short little break, we'll be back with game number 2. Welcome back, everyone. You know you're doing it right when you get a little laugh out of your producer. Welcome back to LPL Winter 2025. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Cubby. We have Kelsey Moser behind us, bringing us production. What a game, number one. LGD, I mean, they slapped. There's no other way around it. WE, unfortunately, we're failing to find answers, and we're getting poked by a stick a little bit. And we'll see if they can actually find another way back into it. They will be able to choose sides, so I'm sure they will be on blue side this time around. Maybe that changes things. Maybe we get the Tianjin Rengar, but something's got to give here, Cubby.
You know what we did get, and that did give in that first game, Mazel?
Yes.
You ready for this? Some LPL stats. Rumble before that game, 0-7. So the salute, now dead. It's now a 1-7. Also, Yone was 1-5 going into that map, so I guess LGD is just so good that they took these two champs that can't win and kind of embarrassed Team WE map 1, you know? That's just how good they are.
I don't know if embarrass is the word, but it was close. It was close. LGD looking very good. But again, this is some of the inklings that we saw against that Anyone's Legend roster. Yes, it maybe was 3-0, but there was a lot of give and take in those early parts of the game. The first 15, 20 minutes, the macro decision-making from LGD was always of interest to me. And now we see what happens when they're able to do something like that early and actually win the game with it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked pre-draft. Like, sometimes I like when I'm wrong because, you know, I get to be interesting. Be like, oh, like, teams made this decision. I like that or not. No, I mean, it was like, hey, they're going to play 3 lanes. They scale. We support the Yone lane. That's exactly what they did. And Team WE had no way to break it. LGD played their game. They played their comp really well. I like how they got Ezreal mid very early. They got Yone in a side where he's comfortable really early. And I'll give them a lot of praise for that. I will. But, yeah, it's tough. I don't really know what's going to happen now. Team WE, got to imagine the one perk for them, they will get blue side this next match. And so far, we have had blue side be the most popular side for Fearless. Makes sense, especially early in a series. I just use the blinds. You know, only so many champs like are going to be blindable for every role. So blue side just gets you more access to those blinds. And also that first pick, where really the only time we see bans swap is if you want to set up a different first pick or you swap sides. As bans are one thing that are very consistent in Fearless. That, and of course, Skarner being the R1 ban permanently. So that's the we have not seen any Skarner.
I'll just say, and this is coming from definitely an emotional place of maybe a little bit of bias. I've been following Tianjin for a while now, and things have not been good for him. I'll just say that right. There's been a lot of games that seemingly have been like a lot his fault, and I think all that bouncing around is not getting him in a lot of positive places. I want to see this man pop off in this game, shed some of the doubters, because there ain't no way that one game is going to shed all the doubters. But I really, really hope to see this guy have a little bit of a better performance, because I know we have seen some of his best performances in these recent couple of years. So we'll see if maybe side select does change that at all. We are WE on blue side for game number 2. It is the Vi and the Callista banned away already. We have the Skarner ban as well on the side of LGD. All those bans at the bottom of the screen are the picks that were picked in game number 1 that are no longer available in the series.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind for me is maybe we see an Ashe Varus handshake. I think that's what LGD might be considering right now. They did ban both Ashe and Varus on blue side in the last game. Of course, being on red side, got to take away that Skarner. That's permaban. Callista being taken away on blue. Ashe Varus could be an easy handshake, and wondering if LGD or WE wants to let that through. I will say something you can do here is you could ban away something like Ashe to prompt a Varus ban. That said, we're banning away an Udyr, which is kind of interesting because Cube was the one that was really good at Udyr.
Sauce's Udyr the last time around looked pretty decent. I mean, he looked pretty good. So
that's why.
I could see it. I could see it.
Okay.
The Cassante, first pick.
First pick, Cassante.
What's up with blue side first picking for their top laners? I guess the Varus is all the way through and locked in for LGD.
Cassante is 8-2 in this format for Fearless, and it's another
copy pastas ready.
Yeah, it's another season. It's another rift. We got more objectives on the map. We've got brand new year, brand new same OP Cassante, man. He's been remade.
Same thing. Man.
Yeah, you can't beat him. That said, might be an early Ambessa pick coming out for LGD. Now, this is a pick that we have seen flex mid a little bit, but obviously enabled to pick so early because they're comfortable with that Cassante matchup.
Yeah.
So
Which are you okay with that? I feel like it could be tough.
I think that Ambessa is a little bit feast or famine. Frankly, if you're gonna go Ambessa here on 2, I would have actually preferred Ashe.
Okay.
I think that the slows can really help enable Ambessa in the fights with all the movement that she gets, and Ashe is just a wee bit more supportive. Ambessa for me, I think the right way to play it into Ambessa now, and if you have Cassante into Ambessa, lane swap. Like Ambessa without resources, like I think the best comparison that I have for this pick is Olaf. Just in the fact that Olaf is just completely reliant on the resources that he is able to consume on the map. Ambessa feels the same way, a little bit harder to dive pre-6. Also post-6 tough to dive, but I think you have to really take steps to try and starve out this champion and set her behind. So we'll see if LGD can protect that. And WE, I mean, they're just showing full dive with Akali and Wukong. And I did tease that Climber Lee Sin, okay matchup against Wukong Akali. That's going to be locked in.
I actually don't mind the Wukong for Tianjin. I think it gives him a lot of playmaking potential on his own, but also some skirmishing power. I do kind of mind the Akali. I know LGD were a little bit scared of it in that game number 1 by banning it on the blue side, but we'll see if Karis can actually make good on this pick that I feel like can be very feast or famine in a lot of cases. Now in the second phase, they didn't grab the Ashe. They didn't grab the trade. So Ashe is immediately banned away by LGD. Renata is the response by WE.
I do like that Renata ban a lot. Just Team WE, they're showing full dive very early on in this draft. So it's about some of the defense now that we can see from LGD. For similar reason, I like the MF ban. Decent matchup against Varus, and that bullet time over the top of full dive can be quite useful. Now XQW, he's got options.
I'm not buying it right now, Cubby. I'm not buying it. I'm putting the items back right now. I don't know. There's the Talia locked in as well for LGD.
I do like the Talia. I think that everything's showing for WE. There are dashes. Everyone's diving in. Talia can do just so much damage. Like over time, it almost feels like damage that just comes out of nowhere because of all the consistent damage that can come out from those rocks. QW also into Akali, you will get some timers, so potential to go play around the map and go support other lanes as the dive comp continues. Kaisa locked in for Taeyun.
Do you have your submarine suit ready? Mine's right here. I just need to go put it on real quick because we're going diving. So do you want to go first? Me?
Everyone's going in, man. That's the key to the game. I think Braum's okay. Braum has not had a lot of success here, but just having Braumalt, the ability to play off of... okay, going to be Nautilus.
Guess who's good to fight the divers in the ocean? It's the guy with the big anchor.
Wow, you were foreshadowing the pick, Mazel. That's incredible. Honestly, that's very impressive. Nautilus, for me, actually a better matchup against Rakan and trying to stop him from getting in. Braum can't really contest that. And also a better lane matchup. So maybe that's what LGD is looking for. As I will say, really curious to see if WE decide to swap. I think that setting Ambessa behind and then also getting Kaisa some solo gold, solo experience early. This champion scales so hard, not just with gold, but also levels. As you need those levels to get stats to maybe unlock some of those evolves just earlier in the game. Something I think that a team like Team Liquid, with their swap meta they figured out last year, them and Yawn, the way that they played around Kaisa is that they would just isolate him early game. D-Blade solo lane and just go from there. So want to see if they pull off that strat. I think lane swap definitely the best call for WE. Just attacking the Ambessa and then trying to set up Kaisa for success early on.
Definitely not distracted by the fact those two guys, the two coaches just missed the fist bumps. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
That's not good. That's not a good sign.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not good.
Better than that.
You know what's good? Getting into game number 2 and getting away from that situation. Because we're going to be getting into game 2 here shortly. It is a situation where LGD absolutely need to slam home this win in this best of 5. It's also a series where WE need to slam home a win in this best of 5 because both teams are sitting at the bottom rungs of Group A in our single round robin. Best of 5, top 2 make it out, bottom 2 eliminated until spring. WE is a team who just last year in the former LPL, before our format changes, placed 9th. And this is a team that was in the upper echelon, in one of the teams that are in playoffs, where LGD, they finished 12th. To see those tables reversed and to see so much on the line, we hope to see a little bit of life with this new WE roster and the direction moving forward. Hopefully it comes from Tianjin. Hopefully it comes from team play. But LGD, they've been looking pretty scary. They've got a lot of comfort going forward, and they've got a lot of power walking behind them, momentum, as we get into game number 2. Oh, no! Okay, well, at least they're both bad. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
That first WEGIO, there was like one guy.
I like to let the Gios breathe a bit. Unfortunately, those didn't do great. Oh, cash back, curiously enough, taken for Varus. That's a little bit different in terms of the setup that we have for some of the runes. I mean, big thing for me this game, I think lane swap really important, and I love to see LGD reading this and matching this. Again, like we teased in the pregame, the Kai'Sa Rakan lane, Nautilus can really stymie this lane. You have range advantage with a Varus, and Nautilus can stop Rakan engage and is really strong at laning. Also, the lane swap would have been really beneficial for just setting Ambessa behind, who is a champion that just really scales off the resources that she's able to get and secure. I mean, she's all about the damage, right? She's not bringing the utility. So good read on the lane swap here from LGD. I really feel like it's WE initiating and LGD recognizing this and responding. And this setup's going to be favorable for them in this game.
I'm just glad we get the little variation of strategies in this series a little bit. We get the normal setup in game number 1. As soon as things take a little bit of a turn, we get this lane swap setup. Now, how are we feeling about junglers heading up here? As yeah, YCX is in a lot of trouble. Oh god, there's flashes early. That's going to be ignites as well. Burn. YCX still has his vampire out of summoner spells. A little bit of pressure for this level 2, and WE will get it first.
A decent spacing there on the back half from Xiaoya. Is going to need to continue to dodge those Qs from Rakan, which is really just a 1-point wonder for that champion. The amount of healing you get from those Qs is pretty filthy and will help get Taeyun back to full health. So because Rakan has that sustain advantage, I do like this. Worth noting, too, both of our junglers working their way up toward the top side, much like last game. So ability to try and engage in this 2v2, make it a 3v3. I do think the 3v3, especially early on, it should favor LGD, just given the strength of Nautilus and the ease of execution with Nautilus, that dredge line into the root, trying to set up things for Lee Sin.
No double clears this time. Come on, say it with me, Cubby. No double clears.
No double clears.
We want blood. We want skirmishing. We want something to happen early. But I do think it's funny that we do have the same jungle path, but the map is completely different because we have the 2v2 up here.
I gotta say, Kai'Sa being forced back that early, though, is relatively shocking. I kind of missed how that happened. It happened off-screen, but that's a big pushback because now top crab goes over to Climber, and that's going to be an easy one to secure. They do scout the Wukong, making his way over to the bot side, but it is LGD with a slight advantage early. And now the question is, do they want to re-swap or keep the lanes where it's at? Varus will need to match the swap. They are going to get this lane in. We get a replay. Nice Q connected to the bottom right of the screen. And Xiaoya doing a nice job with spacing. You do have range advantage with the Varus and with lethal tempo. He's using it well early on.
Well, and Xiaoya, even in their last series, the 2v2 felt pretty good for them. YCX maybe even having some great games, but Xiaoya is really good at putting down pressure in the 2v2. And when you give him the likes of Varus, probably the most lauded ADC in the meta right now, he can put down some serious damage.
Yeah, I still want to see LGD at least get a base. They could stall it for Grubs, but you really want Varus to be able to match what Kai'Sa has so far, especially if we are considering a Grub fight. If you do that at the right time, we'll have tempo for Grubs, which I gotta believe LGD is looking for early on in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I expect the full kind of map swap. We also have timers up this time around, so, you know, we're back in the good place. That feels good. Sasa is taking some hefty health trades up here, or I guess down here with Cube. Still should be fine, though.
The top laners tricked you there for a second.
They do, you know. As a play-by-play, I just can't process it. Lanes aren't where they're supposed to be. What? Crazy.
Well, that wasn't the best trade. We do already have a base from Cube, so Sasa kind of playing with Free time, just trying to trade a little bit, take some health away.
Vampire's in a lot of trouble. Piercing arrow misses, and they get first blood for WE. Xiaoya missing his crucial arrow, and now walking into a bush against Vampire, going for the barrier play, going for the double piercing, but he couldn't do it. He wanted the double kill, the cool play, but it's Taeyun and WE that come up big.
And that's a big loss for LGD because their map state's really good right now if they just get these lanes in and are able to find a reset. That said, the 2v2 is found, and those 2 kills both went over to Taeyun on the Kai'Sa. Talked about how a lane swap could benefit the scaling of this pick, getting those 2 kills so early. We've seen what Kai'Sa can do to maps later on if you take control. Great start for Team WE. It was a tough game 1. Game 2, though, off to a promising start.
And this is why we expect this series to go to 5, because it should be a slugfest.
I don't, but, you know, I like the fan vote.
Get out of here.
Yeah, trying to get into 5.
LGD going to come back, get that first grub, but WE had also gotten a change of pressure going up this way, so they should be able to secure these 2 grubs. Nobody will get the feat of strength for this one, but WE already secured that first blood, so they're on their way.
Last thing from that 2v2, do want to praise Taeyun. I believe it was a flash Void Seeker. Oh, we're going to get a replay.
I want to see this from
yeah,
Xiaoya.
YCX, he gets locked up. Good catch here from Vampire. I think it's a W flash from Taeyun. Over the minion. Yep, that guarantees the passive proc. Really clean by Taeyun. And of course, as you called out, Mazel, that piercing arrow did go wide. Puts Xiaoya in a really tough spot here.
Did he not? Oh my god, he didn't have enough mana for the piercing arrow. Look at this play. He's looking for a double piercing arrow play onto them, but he has no mana. That feels so bad.
Yeah, that I also don't know if he even had the cooldown back, right? I think the brush flash could just be for
if you
vision.
go into that flash, I feel like if you're going for that play, the way he flashed, you have to have it up. I mean, maybe
you're also
not.
going for the vision break in the brush.
Yeah.
That's the other option there for ADs, but yeah, really tough. Oh, it looks like we had some action off screen.
QW in a lot of trouble mid lane.
Oh, he's dead.
Going under turret. Yeah, he just dies. Oh, it's a trade?
Oh.
No way.
Oh,
Karis made it out.
huge.
Now it's 3-0 for Team WE.
And the early kills are all in the right spot. Keep in mind that it's a very strong identity for Team WE's comp, and that identity, it goes one way. We're going in. That's what they want to do. The damage dealers that need to go in, get the damage down to get through LGD, they're the ones that are ahead early. And Karison, importantly for me, Taeyun, who is really off to the races, has 2 of the big components to get that early Kraken Slayer on the Kai'Sa.
Crazy.
And again, we've seen what Kai'Sa can do in games when she gets ahead. It really felt like for all of last year, 3-item Kai'Sa was just straight up a win con. If you got Kai'Sa to 3 items, you can play your way out of any game from there. So we'll see if that ends up being the case again here for Team WE, who I was disappointed at their lack of proactivity in the last game. I did ask that you either take a comp where you got to do something early or you get scaling. Feels like they got a little bit of both this time around with the Wukong, Akali, K'Sante. I mean, we're just going in with Rakan over the top, and then Kai'Sa, that safety net for the late game, trying to outscale what LGD is throwing at him. I do like scaling of LGD too, and Best is a problem that Kai'Sa is going to have to deal with, so it's not like Team WE are off to the races and completely outscaled this game. I think that it is still close, still could be contested, but the start really strong here for Team WE.
Yeah, I'm just happy to see a breath of life. Something, right? Like the fact that Taeyun won the 2v2 in that with no jungle help, no jungle assistance, just a straight up 2v2. That's so remarkably better than that game number 1. Even the fact that we got the help in mid lane and got Karis something going on this Akali, which we already mentioned from draft, can be so detrimental to a team composition if it ahead, right? Like you can just find the access onto the squishy members, and that lack of range still bothers me to some extent for WE, but these early kills have dissuaded that a little bit.
I do like this play from LGD. So we did see Tianjin was taking away the top side while Dragon was going down. LGD stuck to this side of the map, and they're going to power play bot side, try to starve out Taeyun, as they have a level 6 advantage on the Varus, but here we go.
Vampire gets a big grand entrance. YCX tanking up the damage. Karis in there by himself, gets hooked out of the shroud, and Xiaoya puts him in the dirt. That's a massive pick from LGD, and unfortunately Karis overplaying his hand a bit.
Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, I really want to praise LGD with how they were able to bounce back in this one, because like this play for bot side, it's just a textbook timer. You had 6 on Varus first compared to the Kai'Sa. Even after the 2v2 goes south, still relying on the basic fundamentals of the game. They bring more numbers down. That Chain of Corruption, such a big cooldown. Of course, it was Karis that ended up falling off. A nice dredge line from YCX, making up for some of the sins earlier on. But I think the direction here from LGD, like, look at the setup. Look at the pre-fight. Mid was good. Yes, the engage from Vampire is good, but you're not set up at all to actually take this. With Kai'Sa being level 5, level 6, being on this Varus. And yeah, easy dredge line in the Chain of Corruptions. That connects. Karis falls. Yeah. Gold goes back on the Xiaoye. And it's a really good response and bounce back. And again, just playing around the strength, the stuff that you find in draft. Varus can push Kai'Sa around early, even after the lead was secured by Taeyun. Really good bounce back play from LGD to stick to their strong side of the map and play it out.
And even a little bit worse for where they're Vampire flashing for a great entrance onto only YCX, because unfortunately Climber did not get connected to on there. So a couple combos going a little wide. We had a nice little Weaver's Wall from XQW to stop some of the pressure. Oh. And bot side. Oh, the double knockoff! No! Oh, Vampire just got staked. The Grubbies have gone over to LGD. And they'll have 4 out of the 6.
Not just a 4-2 split, too, but Climber's going to try and take away this blue buff. Does have Smite coming off cooldown here in a second. And yeah, we'll secure that away from Tianjin. So, again, like the response from WE there is okay. They're trying to power play bot lane again, realizing that some of the CDs are down, and they had access to Kai'Sa ult, had access to the Cyclone from Wukong. But the way that LGD played it out, again, shifting Xiaoye into the mid lane where he can just be safe, or a lot safer. Yeah, the Weaver's Wall is burned. That's a big cooldown, but still got access to the wave, prevented the play, got all the resources, and only found a win cross-side of the map. And that's how LGD has been able to at least play their way back into this one a little bit. It's been really nice. I mean, game one, it was really start to finish. Just a great game from LGD, playing out their win cons, playing out their comp really well. This time, WE made some nice plays early, put them on the back foot, but I've loved the responses we've seen out of LGD. This is a young team playing good macro and a good team League of Legends.
In the LPL, fighting your way out of early deficits, to me, is one of the most important skills, because there are so many games, so many series in the LPL's history that have just gotten blown out of the water so quickly for no reason. And the fact that you can try to fight your way back into that is such an important skill. As we see LGD doing that right now, Xiaoye just putting in some damage onto Taeyun. I mean, there's a reason why this Varus pick is consistently banned and looked after.
It's been really strong in this early season, and
doesn't even have an item.
Yeah, good to see Xiaoye, who I feel like was, I don't want to say an unsung hero last game, just on Ezreal again, was put mid early, did his job, was doing a nice job of peppering and chunking out Team WE. This time around again, the mistake was made by his support, wasn't able to find the 2v2, which he went for early, but the bounce back from him and the way that he was even spacing Kai'Sa in the first few levels, it's really promising for this guy early on, who I think has had nice, like a couple nice performances here in the season. Again, a young team in LGD, an org that's trying to reclaim some of their status that they used to have in the LPL, sticking to their guns with what they had in LDL. And the young guys looking good in this series. Again, respectful performance, 0-3 to anyone's Legends, and what was a series much closer than that. You're not going to ride that home to the bank. Doesn't mean too much in LPL. And it's still losses, but playing this well against Team WE, that is something you can write home about, as Dragonfly might break even.
Yep, yeah. Dragon is 2,000. Climber's in there. He's going to kick him out.
Yep.
No, I saw that coming from a mile away. And so did Tianjin. He gets bouncy castled into a death, and honestly, that's a little bit of toughie right there. Karis goes in for a combo. YCX is already down. Look at that damage. Taeyun goes, finds the back line. Xiaoye getting low.
He's down.
Xiaoye going down. Now Karis still having an angle here, but Climber goes in, shuts him down. XQW throwing some rocks, and we got Cube not moving in the middle of the fight, and that's it.
Sometimes you have to question why the pause is initiated. That time we didn't. Cube was not moving, and that
not moving.
Honestly, that could be interesting where that goes from there. I don't know the rules, or if they could just put us back in, or something else happens. But
they're all on stage too. I don't even know how that happened.
It was a decent bounce back fight to start off here.
Dude, Tianjin got wrecked.
Tianjin did get owned. That was not good from Tianjin.
God.
He got kicked out, lost that, and then got Dredgeline comboed. But we saw the dive onto Varus. Of course, Varus, really strong laner. Is the on-hit build. He has a lot to deal with in the backline. Again, it's full dive, and both sums were burned. I didn't know if we are going back into the game there or not, as we are going to get a replay. I mean, again, we both called this one out. It was a nice kick into secure. The flash comes out.
Just walking up to, like,
then,
you can see it coming.
Yeah, I mean, we E forward and just get completely comboed. I will say that cleanse flash from Taeyun, really nice. That kept Sase out of the fight for a while. He had to go the long way, and I think that's what really enabled Team WE to play the backside of this fight so hard and take down Xiaoya. So I do want to praise Taeyun. That was a really, really nice cleanse flash that I think shifted the fight a bit. Yeah.
So
is that cute?
What looked like what happened is
he just got stuck.
Well, he got stuck through the ground because, you know, if you dash through...
Right, but then he couldn't move after. I wonder if it, like, couldn't input
it, like,
or...
bugged or... I don't know. That's wild. The fight went on for so long before they stopped it. He's just sitting there, and they're still winning it somehow. That's crazy. Well, hopefully it won't be too long of a pause, but honestly, I could absolutely see a chrono break coming through, and that's going to take a long time. So cross our fingers.
I could see a chrono break too, because it felt like for whatever godforsaken reason, Cube was not able to play the fight the way he wanted to.
Yeah, well, and he was like literally full health, and like Cassante at full health at this item spike can do a lot. So
in alt, with the alt just going, yeah, that's actually a pretty big one. That
producer Kelsey in the chat. No,
it's chrono break time.
It's probably gonna be chrono break time.
Yeah, it looked like, I mean, it just looks like his character was just completely locked up, man.
Yeah, which sucks. I mean, that just sucks.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll get the answer here sooner rather than later, which we probably won't. We'll probably just get thrown into game at some point.
Hopefully.
So
might be a good time to shut out the coffee because
true.
Might be going
Why not? Do I read the script from earlier too?
Hell yeah, you do.
Do we do it again?
Let's get some coffee going.
It's the middle of the night for us. Casting LPL from LA. Sometimes it's hard.
We got the nutritional drink.
We can't stay high energy all the time.
This is our morning.
Wait, Cubby, wait. Gotta come in at the right time. We acted through this. We had rehearsals.
We did?
Luckily, thanks to support from the coffee subscribers, fans have donated 69 nice coffees to us to keep us wired and ready. One of them is in Cubby's cup. The other ones I have here strategically placed so you can't see them. 68 cups of coffee in my room right now. Since this is a fan-run project, all memes aside, your support means the world to us. We love bringing and being able to bring you the LPL in this style and a more traditional broadcast sense, and try to tell the stories that are absolutely deserved of telling here in this legendary league. You can help support us through the coffee, through YouTube, through Twitch subscriptions. If you do end up subscribing, you do have perks you unlock, as well as especially being able to potentially put in some questions for interview content that we're going to be having for some of the players and teams. Make sure you go support us. Make sure you join and help subscribe, because all the support that you give us goes straight to the broadcast, goes straight to improving our content, goes straight to paying our broadcast members one day, hopefully, but mostly going to leveling up the broadcast in a lot of ways. So we really appreciate all the support. It's been a pleasure to get to do this. I can't believe we're already almost at the Lunar New Year break, which is like 2 weeks of no LPL. It is literally one of the worst times every year for me as an LPL caster, is like the 2 week. I understand why we do it. It's a wonderful, wonderful holiday. But man, we get a little taste of LPL and then we have to take a long break.
Yeah, it's a long break that I usually fill with LEC. But yeah, it's been a privilege to join this project. Frankly, I joined it because, you know, of who's involved with Kelsey running it and a lot of the casters. I've always been an LCK fan, but always also had the utmost respect for LPL. They are a top 2 region in the world. That's undeniable with the results we've seen. And yeah, all these guys in the league deserve to have their league represented to not just English, but many other languages, because it's a hell of a league to watch. It's so competitive and always has been every year. So will be fun to join for this year, and we'll see where things go. But yeah, it's so far we haven't really had the excitement or the upsets that we're used to seeing from LPL.
No 5 games? Come on!
It's been pretty decided on who's been playing better, but
I need 5 games, man. I was the 5-game merchant all my years in the LPL.
To be fair,
I always got 5 games.
to be fair, in the past, anyone that has casted LPL playoffs can just claim they're the 5-game merchant because it always seems to go there. So I may not have always followed, LPL, but when playoffs come around, I make sure to always follow LPL because you just get nothing but bangers between great teams. And I've always felt like, this region, this league, they've always had more teams than they have sent international that could threaten to go top 4, top 2, top 1. That don't even get to make it to those tournaments. It just really speaks to how deep this league is. And we'll see if it's the case again this year, because frankly, I know that LGD, like, TWE is not a very promising team for me, but I've seen some promise out of LGD early on in the season, and honestly, I'm excited to see them go up against top esports. Am I expecting an upset? No. But do I feel like these guys have put together some good maps and played some good leagues so far? Yeah.
I love your points, but I just got reminded of something, and our producer Kelsey is the one to thank for this. We were on that first day of Demacia Cup where we had like an hour and a half break. It might be a little bit cooked, all right? It might be a little cooked.
No, you know what, Michelle? You know what I'm hopeful for this time? I gotta say.
I'll start naming my plushies.
No, I gotta say, in that 1 hour or 2 hour break that we had some like career stalling that we were able to rep.
We did.
And there was no VOD saved. And I was a bit salty about that.
No VOD saved.
This time we've got at least 10 days where we can watch us try and work through this, however long this break is. And I gotta say, we're going back to the desk. That doesn't seem
It's a chrono break. It is absolutely a chrono break.
Well, I gotta say, it's never really, like, I've been doing some outside reading. Like, there have been instances where I remember Rare Adam, they DC'd, like the whole house DC'd from a match, and they still didn't chrono break that. So it's been a real lack of chrono breaks we've had historically in the LPL. So I'm wondering if that ends up being the case. But then again, if Cube's just locked out of his character for the rest of the game, I feel like that's rather deserving of chrono break. So
hey, maybe.
It does seem to be the case, as Cassante are through the Talia rocks, and those Talia rocks,
they don't like you moving.
This time. They hit a bit different.
Maybe they're like the rocks from everywhere, everything all at once. Everything everywhere all at once. All at once, everything everywhere.
Yeah, Talia with ability haste.
I guess you just get talking rocks.
Yeah.
Man, I'm thinking of like the most legendary stall. So I remember, I can't remember if it was NACL or if it was LPL. I want to say it was LPL, because we used to just, because when I was on the actual official LPL English, we casted just like we're casting now. We literally just watched the Chinese feed and switched to us whatever anything like would come up that wasn't part of our show. So they would just leave us on the breaks, just to fill, just like the Chinese casters do. And I remember, I think I was with Lyric. Maybe it was Dagda. I don't know. I went on this whole show of like naming all my plushies and like what they did, and like it was this whole long thing. It lasted like 45 minutes. That's like the depths that, casters are willing to go to fill time. I'll go there. Don't threaten me. You better get that chrono break going. I'll do it.
I gotta say, legendary stalls. This one was in my first year of casting at Challengers Uprising. Okay. And we ended up pulling up the client and going through the client story that they had at the time, which led to, it was whatever event that had like Shirtless Thresh on it. You could go find Shirtless Thresh, and that's pretty much
the like dating simulator.
Yes,
nice.
That was it. So we did that for an hour. It was about an hour and a half stall. That's probably the most desperate we got. A little bit of a smaller stream than this. I don't think that would be warranted now, but
hey,
we might be.
We need options. We need options. All right, Cubby. We need options.
I gotta say,
any option is a good option.
I do love casting with Mazel. We've been working together for, ever since I started out, and how long I can imagine. But if this ends up being another 2 hour pause, I think Kelsey's gonna have to really consider whether she pairs us together or not. It might be doomed for us for the rest of the year.
It might be doomed.
I might never see you again.
It might be doomed.
Yeah.
I would be so sad.
I would be sad too, so but also,
but for the good of the broadcast, yeah, for the good of the broadcast,
it's not easy. No.
Our love can no longer be, Cubby. We're not allowed. not alive. We're like Romeo and Juliet of the LPL.
Yeah, that would. I mean, that'd be something. I do not want to go through the conclusion of that story. I don't know if you've read that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't have to get that far. I know books.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good.
I like that we also we had no coordination, by the way. I know we're gonna be getting into random stuff here while we wait for the games. We're both wearing blue. Last time we were both wearing sweaters. I mean,
I was mentioned last time that I was wearing a sweater because that was a new sweater that I got from my mom for Christmas.
but then we were like matching colors.
Yeah, and now it's close. This shirt I bought in Columbus with my sister before a John Mayer concert.
I was gonna say that looks like a shirt that I'd wear to like a country concert or like something.
Yeah, I mean it fits decently well. The only bummer is that I got kind of sweaty pits, so I can't show it off too much right now. But
TMI, Cubby, TMI.
This always happens to me, you know.
Not been that action packed. See, then if I could give you that cowboy hat back there, then we could get the whole outfit going.
I could fit in.
I could be Cowboy Spider-Man.
I could enjoy your culture if I had the cowboy hat.
True. I honestly, with our friend group of casters, I would love to take you all to like a country concert. Not a concert, but like a country bar.
I assume you're a square dancer.
That's so fun. Yes. Well,
okay.
Not as much square dancing, but like two-stepping, half-stepping.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun.
I can't do any of that.
Waltzing is very fun too.
I just kind of move my feet to the beat, and that's how we do it. It's not bad.
All right. Well, apparently we've hit the emergency exit button after talking about Cubby's fashion. So we're gonna take a little break while we get through this technical pause. We'll come right back as soon as we can. Welcome back, everyone. We just went straight back in. Bug or no bug, WE can't do anything about it, I guess. And so Cube is just left to the wolves, and LGD win the fight.
I'm not sure if we're going to get a replay on this one. Frankly, I think the first time around, the WE fight looked a little bit more promising, but at least Cube was able to play the game this time around. But man, I like the last screen grab that we were on looked a lot more WE favor than this one, Giselle. And this is all of a sudden not looking too good for WE. Taeyun might be the only hope, and he's really gotten starved out in the last few minutes thanks to some nice focus from LGD. I think back to that attack they had on bot lane, zoning Taeyun out, using the level 6 advantage they had on Xiaoya. And then that fight, Xiaoya did go down, but still Taeyun didn't get all too much and still being starved out this game. Good steps for LGD.
I'm just wondering what could have possibly been, because now we see almost over 1,000 gold lead for LGD. And I know you're talking about Taeyun, but his lack of range terrifies me in these later fights, and how he's going to be able to pick apart the backline in a lot of these cases. So we'll see maybe if a little bit of reservedness comes out from both sides after that pause, as we're gonna we're gonna look at it again. Well,
this fight was much better for Xiaoya than the first one, as Cube got stuck on the rocks from the looks of things again. Really well played here by XQW, who for me is been a standout in this series. Just Cube's gonna get one yoink. It doesn't look like it was enough to actually get a kill. Man. It was really different.
It's so different. That is not the same fight.
Yeah, I don't know where exactly they chrono braked it, but shout out to LGD. Obviously they get to see that fight once, but the game plan to kite back with the Talia this time, I think, was the big game changer. And it was a nice engage from Vampire, but WE just didn't have enough gas in the tank to follow through the Talia rocks, which between the Unraveled Earth and the Q spam, nice fight for LGD, and I mean, this is very LGD favored.
It is. Now they'll actually get the Rift Herald as well. Feels a little bit bad. I don't know. We'll try not to dwell on it too long, because the game.
It does feel bad. I'm not. You're not wrong there, sadly, Mizel. It does feel pretty bad.
They didn't get first turret though. Let's go.
Progress.
Wait, that means they got the feats. They just got the feats outright. Nice. Let's go, WE.
Okay. I do like feats a lot. I think they were a really strong addition.
Wait, you like feat?
Okay, Mizel. We're not going to throw it back to last year. I think feats are a nice addition. Like, for me, just being able to have strength for the entirety of the game, for winning the early game, I think is a nice reward, especially when we do talk so much about scaling, especially at the highest level of play. It matters a lot, so just being able to take something with you. If you win early game, you get something for the rest of the game. You have that third boot option, which are relatively strong. It's not a bad option by any means. If it goes late, then your inventory is going to be a little bit stronger. So I think feats were a really nice addition to the game. I know people had beef with them early on, but I really like the incentive that it gives you to play a little bit more for early game, and the fact that if you do win early game, you get something with you for the rest of the game.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how expensive they are. Some of them are really good. Some of them are worth buying. We are getting to a point where we could look at a soul point on an Infernal Soul, by the way, for LGD. That would be an incredibly powerful decision-making tool that they could get themselves. You already see some deploys coming out that side of the map. I think this one could be very important.
All of them do damage, so it's Infernal would be really nice for them. Do want to shout out a couple interesting things that we have. First off, YCK on the Nautilus actually went for the free boots in the Inspiration Tree. I gotta say, this is something that I usually do in solo queue because people just don't roam and move, and you get extra move speed for the whole game. He did it in a comp game, which is really surprising. But it's actually a nice buff. Like, the move speed, I think, matters a lot in terms of setting up your hooks and your skill shots. Maybe getting a better dredge line here and there. Also, Ambessa with the Black Cleaver. Yes, Cube on the Cassante, very armor-heavy build. The standard build we see from Ambessa, though, is the Shojin second. So that's going to be delayed for the armor shred that Cleaver brings. Curious if Lee Sin ends up going for a different second item so they don't stack Cleavers either. Cleaver is a really good option for Lee Sin, but maybe we see Climber go for a Shojin or a Sterax himself.
TPs, Dragon coming up. Yep. We have the timer ready to go. Sasa has not TP'd. He's just going to walk. He does have that item spike. So LGD are a bit more favorable position here, about 1,000 gold up. They're going to move into the pit first. WE are going to try to get priority in mid lane and now move to respond.
Yeah, also, do you want to say YCK did go with the talismans? Been seeing a little bit more play in this season. So a lot of focus on move speed from the Nautilus is going to get a nice pick on the cube. Oh, they're going in.
Sasa is in the middle of the fight. The double knock up there. And XQW just takes down Tianjin. No jungler means a free dragon. And that'll be sole point for LGD.
I mean, this is just too easy for LGD where they took the fight. Team WE, they need angles. They need to find ways to get on the backline. The preemptive flash from Xiaoya to get out of Vampire's combo. He's not even rocking the cleanse against the Rakan, which is kind of disrespectful at this point of the game, but LGD just get to play a free front to back, exactly what their comp wants to do, and play around the Varus. It really feels like we're getting to the stage of last game where Team WE is not doing anything to deter the game plan that LGD wants to win this game. As Xiaoya, after that flash, no one could touch him.
Actually get the hook straight onto the main tank. It's the public execution onto him as well. Attempted backline access by both Vampire and Tianjin gets denied.
I mean, I don't think WE had a good angle or like the ability to win that. Again, front to back in that choke, I'll really favor LGD, but that was a pretty fight from them, man. You have YCK holding one end of the pincer. You got Climber peeling the other end of the pincer. And Xiaoya and XQW just go untouched for the vast majority of the fight. Really well done by LGD. Again, a team that, for me, just these LDL champions have been pretty impressive in the early season. And I gotta say, like, this is promising for LGD moving forward. I mean, having these young guys that did something in Tier 2, experience any sort of success in Tier 1, we've seen it could have an impact on getting more players promoted in the future. And the fact that LGD...
reward system.
Yeah, and the fact that LGD stuck to their guns, too, I mean, props for them by just rewarding players that did win in that secondary league. And these guys look good up against WE today. They played Anyone's Legends decent in their debut, and now today... this is looking to be a pretty one-sided series, something that we didn't exactly expect coming into this, Gazelle.
What's so crazy is just a little bit ago, before that long pause, I mean, all the numbers at the bottom of your screen were blue. They were all favored towards WE. They started off so strongly, and LGD have just fought their way back yet again, and that's 2 times in a row now that LGD have shown some serious grit. And it's about their compositional strengths as well. They're just very good at playing around these. XQW is having yet another game where he's having a ton of impact, and this time on the Talia, a little bit of a different look. It's just really nice to see some of the level coming out of LGD, even if maybe their expectations aren't taking home the Silver Dragon Cup. That development in this league of 16 teams is so important.
Hey, it's something that you can run with, and like the last couple of players I really remember like moving up and moving forward, like I'm thinking of Cream and Shanji, right? If these guys were younger players, played on the same team, managed to do a little bit of org hopping, and Cream is playing on some pretty strong rosters, right? Shanji had his chance, and kind of trying to bounce back on other rosters as well, but those were young guys that had some momentum and were able to kind of move up the ranks in terms of who they were playing with. I don't know if the plan for LGD is to stick with these guys and pay them what they're worth as time moves forward, or maybe they're trying to, sell them off to other orgs. As we see that extra movement speed on Nautilus coming up big there for YCX. But yeah, I gotta say, like, LGD, the fact they have something to play with these guys, it feels promising at the moment, and we'll see how high up the standings these guys can push.
And that's where the contrast of WE is so heartbreaking, because these are guys who are maybe not the sharpest tools in the LPL shed, at least in terms of the bright, shiny new pieces, but it's pieces that have been trying to make their way up over time. And WE is a team that was literally in the top 10 in the playoffs last year in summer for the LPL. So it's an organization, it's players that want to find success but just aren't clicking together so far. Atacon is spawned up on the bottom side. Saw a lot of presence down there from both sides. Do wonder if it's going to become the case to fight for this one. It is the GA Atacon, so a lot of power going to whoever claims this one, and almost 3,000 gold up is LGD.
At this point, we just got to start calling it like the pro play Otacon. I've only seen the other one solo queues. Oh, that's a pick on M-Pesa.
Sasa is just in the middle of 4 people and still kicking, still going. Finally dies.
That's big.
Now they've over TP'd. XQW just dies outright to Cube. A little bit of revenge for that pause gameplay. And now WE can move to Atacon.
Yeah, I do want to praise WE. That was a nice setup to get the pick on Ambessa. Sasa did get out, did buy time, but unfortunately is right towards the Talia TP, which didn't connect fast enough, so it was a free kill when Talia landed, and that's going to be Otacon, you got to believe, going over.
I don't think Tianzhen wants to go with... Oh my god, Cube is just gone! It's a YCX who kills him. Tianzhen now goes in for the backline, but he dies too. Big execution from Karis, though. He takes down Xiaoya, the last remaining damage. Unfortunately, Otacon has respawned, and LGD can answer.
Got the health back. That's a good fight from LGD. As it's just gonna lead the Soul.
I mean, that's Infernal Soul. If they don't stop backing right now or try to contest this one, I mean, Taeyun realizes he's in some trouble, but nobody is here to contest this dragon. You've got all team members coming down here for LGD. That's just an Infernal Soul at 25 minutes, Cubby.
I mean, even when things look the grimmest for LGD, still able to come out with a big objective. And Team WE, I can understand wanting to fight Otacon, but they could have fixed lanes and set up for the dragon to deny Soul. As again, it's a nice pick onto the Ambessa. Xiaosa does his best to get out, but it's right towards the Talia TP. Ends up landing right in the Cyclone. Instant knock-up. No fight for XQW to play. Even Health Flash, I mean, he was just going down. LGD, I like the fact they're trying to skirmish, trying to find a fight. This is a really nice ult from Xiaoya. And to at least stall the Cassante. Again, once you get rooted up like that, can't channel the Unstoppable. And we do see the Cassante melt when that wasn't an option. And even the peel here onto the Varus, they're at least able to trade kills. So it's a 2 for 2 in the back half of the fight, being down a number for LGD. Win out the health bar war, take Infernal Soul, and now Otacon should be under threat for LGD, as with that Infernal Soul, they have way more power for the rest of the game now, securing that buff.
I'm pleasantly surprised as well as at Taeyun's movements and positioning in a lot of these fights. Oh, Vampire, okay. Oh, he gets publicly executed, but it's actually going to be caught there by Cube, who's tanking him up, but also got Chains of Corruption yet again, half his health gone. Taeyun coming over the backside. He has Killer Instinct, but they're going to take the bite. Tianzhen in a lot of trouble. Goes for the second Cyclone there. Oh my goodness, he's just going in. Karis in 1v4, but they have the backline access. They have Taeyun to follow him up, but he's being CC'd. He's being chased down. Sasa finds him. Now you've got a big fight on Cube. Cube is trying to find the backline himself, but LGD have wiped the floor with WE just like a rag in the kitchen. Otacon coming alive for LGD.
I like the fight, the idea from Team WE. Sums are down. You can get the dive off. And they did find Xiaoya in the back line. But XQW had a fantastic fight on the Talia, holding his own side of the fight and pretty much stymieing the majority of Team WE between the Unraveled Earth, the rocks. I want you to keep your eyes on on the Talia as we get through this fight. Yes, Cube. He ends up getting chunked out early on. I think this is a fine use of ults to get a chunk on Cassante. We can't start up the Otacon, but the execution from Vampire, he does a nice job of being patient here. I think he should have stayed in the fog, but was at least able to protect Tianzhen and then got a really nice counter engage off the back of Karis. So yeah, the Varus goes down. Good execution on Taeyun, but now it's all about XQW in this fight. He plays a weird side of the fight. Had to dodge down to get around to the Shuriken flip from Karis, but was able to stall, stymie Tianzhen, and Karis in the back half played that beautifully on the Talia, and the rest of his team took care of business on the other side of the fight. We return to Vibe. Baron's being started. Vampire's not spotted behind. Could have a big angle.
This is tough, though. I mean, you have the GA. You can literally fight on site, and unfortunately, Cube did not get the memo ahead of time. Now, Sasa is just going to the back line. XQW has found a big Weaver's Wall to try to catch Tianzhen out. They can just start this Baron, force the hand of WE.
They're going to fix waves and start.
Just moments ago, it was such a heavily contested series, a heavily contested game, at least, not series. And LGD have just blown this wide open, almost 6,000 gold in the advantage.
Yeah, they got it back to looking like it's not a very heavily contested series, as LGD have really run with things. I really have to praise. I like how YCX and Climber are playing around their carries, this Lee Sin Nautilus duo. There's a lot of dive. I think they're doing a decent job of peeling back. And with XQW, we've seen what happens if you're able to peel the Talia. I mean, Talia does so much, it almost feels like inanimate damage, just with all the AoE, all the DPS that she can put out with her kit. And this Talia is doing work in terms of peeling the front line. Everyone has to go in, everyone has to go through the rocks, and Team WE, if they don't have an angle, having a really tough time getting through this Talia.
I mean, they literally can't do anything. I'm also just staring at numbers on my screen. The fact that Vampire is level 9 comparatively to XQW is level 16.
Oh, we're going in.
And they're just going all in under turret. Sasso is tanking it up. He still has the Atacon GA. He's going to get it popped while he got Taeyun as well. They're just under turret, but it doesn't even matter. The turret's not doing anything, Cubby. When the game mechanics don't work for you, what can you do? All hope for WE has just been sucked out of the Sion Arena, and LGD's fandom has run forth a 2-0 lead in this best of 5 and match point.
And I love some of the fundamentals that we're seeing from LGD. End screen there, what I'm looking at, Taeyun, he had flash up in the gray screen, did not have it available for that depth charge combo. And the rest of LGD, I mean, it's textbook, it's patience. Wait for that depth charge to connect. Chain of Corruptions, Talia Flick, that comes out. You did have some pretty nice set combos to at least use into the heavy dive that Team WE was showing, and LGD just used their tools better. And I think that for WE, if they want to play a comp like that, they've got to set up the map better in terms of objective setup. It really felt like they never had a pushing lane and then played off that to get any angles. Like, when you're fighting front to back against Varus, Talia, and in chokes, that's the exact setup that you want to fight. If you're playing those carries, they're playing into LGD's win cons, not playing for their own. We saw that in Game 1 as well, and really want to see that change in Game 3, because if we don't see that change, then we're not going to a Game 4.
No, not at all. It's just going to be another 3-0, and I'm going to be very sad, not only for WE's chances,
XQW.
but also me. I think the fact that first of all, that Sasa was even close to XQW in that one when he literally did like nothing but farm and lane all game. XQW absolutely deserves it, not only for that one big play in the bottom side, but some of the map movements as well have been really, really nice to see. And again, it's stemming from that reward system from LGD, the fact that Climber and XQW showed so much promise. And honestly, I mean, Climber losing a little bit of the spotlight here to XQW in this series in particular, but this was the combo we wanted to see be proficient together, and boy, does it look good.
I mean, YCX too. Got to give him some praise. Obviously, coming from that roster, did make that mistake in the 2v2, led to the double kill that went over to Taeyun on the Kai'Sa, but bounced back really well. I thought the rest of his game on Nautilus was honestly textbook. Like, he was making the right plays, choosing the right engages, and that team was functioning well. We saw them chain CC really well, and I think it was those things that we're just not seeing from Team WE that's led to the first 2 games looking very LGD favored.
Just, man, the level 9 support, the level 16 mid laner, those are numbers you don't see very often.
One might say, when you saw level 9 on Vampire, he was really sucking the life out of you. I feel like that was it.
Is Aragon just sucked dry now, or what? Like, at the point, a big Vampire fan there, Aragon. Hopefully it'll turn around for him, and hopefully it'll turn around for WE, because it's been a couple back-to-back games of a little bit of tough times. I do want to see the Rengar. If it's gonna be a 3-0, I just do it.
If we're gonna go down in flames, we might as well go down in style.
Tianjin has not looked good this series. I'm not saying he's gonna look any better on the Rengar, but I need to see this guy have a little bit more confidence. Because maybe he plays with confidence, it looks decent.
Maybe a Viego comp, a Jinx comp, just simplify things for Team WE. I want to see Team WE play through their win cons better. I feel like they had a better idea of how to execute some of those fights. Like, it's not like things were always LGD favored. I think some of the angles they took were okay, but just not good enough. And for me, it was the lack of angles that they were able to create that led to those fights, making sure they went in LGD's favor. So, yeah, still looking for a lot from Team WE. I'm less disappointed about Game 2 than I was Game 1, but still, they haven't shown us the gameplay to actually make this a series yet. It's been all LGD.
Yeah, a couple bad decisions, bad timings. Early game looked better. But unfortunately, you gotta play good at all parts of the games, Cubby. Who'd have thunk it? And LGD have learned that from their time against AL, which again is the biggest breath of fresh air to me. The fact that we are seeing this team find early, maybe at least in that first game, early advantages and propel them. Maybe in this situation, losing a little bit early and finding a way to fight back in that case. But it was domination nonetheless. I mean, that 25-minute Infernal Soul definitely helps.
Yeah. I mean, again, like Team WE, that's just not playing textbook League, right? They hit the Otacon. They don't prep the Soul. They don't take the numbers advantage to take away that major objective that LGD was looking for. And, I mean, once they gave that away, it was just game over.
This was the 2v2 that started off so good for WE.
This was really well played by Taeyun.
It was.
I think YCX made a mistake with where he stepped up or just throwing that hook there, but it was a promising start here for Team WE. It's not like they had no winning angles, like they had nothing going for them in this game. That was not the same as game one.
Started off 3-0 because Karis also got a kill in the mid lane right after that.
The bounce back, though, here from LGD, I thought was so good. Again, textbook lead. We got level 6 on Varus. Let's do something. Let's bring our Talia down and just throw some pressure, get Kaisa off the wave.
People.
Ends up leading to a kill. This fight from Team WE, this is a terrible take. There's no angle where this fight's going to be winning. Just fighting into a choke, into a Talia, and into that Unraveled Earth like that. Like, Vampire and Tianjin were not able to get around the rocks. And then this is the one winning angle, which play the game. Like, this is decent from Team WE, but I can still argue that it's more so a mistake from LGD because of the TP from XQW and the way that Xiaosi kited is really putting Talia in that tough spot. Like, instantly after this, like, it was over. I mean,
yeah, it literally was. It snowballed so fast. It was actually crazy. And it wasn't even, like, Xiaoya was having a ton of work being given out by him in a lot of these fights, but in the end, it really wasn't even about it. It was about XQW. And looking at this fight, you'll see why.
It's about Battle Varus. Like, I mean, he was going down. He was the target of everyone, but still, he was taking health bars down with him. Sometimes all you can do, especially when you're lacking sums and when you have the guts to take barrier in a game like this, because, I mean, you're going down to a good combo from Rakan there. It's just a given. Yeah. We don't have the cleanse flash. So, but yeah, that's what's going to get XQW the player of the game, I should say.
The last rock. A little bit of an assist from Atacon.
Really well played. Like him playing away from his team there, I don't think every mid laner takes that decision, and he took that decision and made it work. Again, I've been pretty impressed by XQW in this early season as a fresh rookie, an LDL champion. It definitely showed why he was winning in that secondary league now in the first league. We've seen some good play from him on a variety of champs. I think he's been best when he's been moving away from mid lane. I like how he's playing map, but even there playing the fights on Talia, I mean, I had a nice game.
This makes me so excited for them to face off against TES as well, and for him to go against Cream. That's the other crazy thing. I mean, we're going to be getting down to the MVP here, but like literally after this series, both these teams only have one series left to play in this group, which is just mind-boggling to me because it's 3 best-of-5s, and your winter split, if you didn't make top 2, is over in each group. So a lot on the minds of WE. What can make this roster work? What can make them look a little bit better, maybe a little bit more comfortable, maybe a little bit more in sync? And that's got to be started in the draft, finding things that work well together, because that is also another thing for LGD, that they've just had a lot of really good drafts that synergize very well.
Yeah, I mean, that draft, I thought it could have been winnable for Team WE. What I like the most about LGD is they're playing to their win cons, and like, they're not doing anything super fancy. They're just playing the game like, hey, we have prio here, we can go play here, or we have a level 6 advantage here, or advantage here, let's go make this play. It's nothing that's been super creative, super, you know, out of bounds or stuff that we're not expecting. It's just been textbook league from a team full of LPL rookies that are doing damage.
Yeah, I think that's the coolest thing. We're seeing a lot of new faces in the LPL itself, but also, you know, being able to see these guys, at least the 2 left over from the championship roster from LDL. But it's really cool to see this combination that everybody was so excited to see continue to pay dividends in that way.
Yeah, and again, props to LGD. This is an org that, like, I remember the first split that I watched LPL was when Deft came over to EDG, and shortly after that, Imp came over to LGD, and Season 6 was supposed to be the year that, you know, LPL made a huge splash at Worlds. That was not the case. LGD flubbed. But this is an org that, you know, they have some pedigree, they have some history in the LPL. We just have not seen the performances from them of late.
You go back 10 years, 12 years, 13 years, you're like, oh my God, this is the match of the week.
Yeah, it really is. That just hasn't been the case for LGD, so to see them develop internally and stick to their guns for the upcoming year is something that we're not, you know, really familiar with in LPL and LCK. It's all about the big superstars that have been there for so many years that just keep on doing it, and who can challenge them. Well, sometimes you got to kind of climb the ranks and make sure that you can get to the point where you're challenging them. And I got to say, so far, the rooks, the promotions that LGD have, they look really promising. Like, this is a team that I'm kind of excited about in the early season and want to see what they do against top esports, because A, that's going to decide the group, and B, we'll see. Like, that's an elite team, right? We'll see if they can play them as well as they did, or play them better than they did anyone's Legends, who they were able to challenge even if it wasn't 3-0.
Well, that's it for our game number 2. We're going to be taking a little break. Get ready for game number 3. Don't you miss it. Welcome back, everyone, to LPL Winter 2025 by LPL English, the unofficial coverage of the LPL. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Cubby. We're 2-0 into a best-of-5 with LGD favored. I think it might be just the case that WE get taken out.
Yeah, it's been it's been a little rough here for Team WE. This team, like, they aren't playing towards win cons. They aren't playing aggressively. I've been frankly disappointed what we've seen so far. So we're going to have to see if they can at least shift expectations, change things around, and give us some hope moving forward. Because at the moment, we don't have much. And they had winning angles. Like, they had positions where it was okay for them in the last game. We just did not see them come anywhere close to converting. So, a real bummer.
That's the hardest thing, is there just wasn't like a base level. I think that's always very difficult to watch, not only at this level, but honestly at any level. But I hope to see some of that comfort come through for game number 3, like I was saying. Please give me the Tianjin Rengar, please. Like, just give it to me. I don't even care if it looks good in the comp or whatever. Like, just give me some of the tried and true things that have worked for WE in any case.
We just want hope. I think that's really where we're at the moment.
He left the team like 2 years ago, bro. Get over it, all right?
Okay. Thank you. Good one, then. Well done.
LPL joke. Let's go.
You know, I appreciate that, though, because I actually didn't. I kind of forgot about that. I always had hope at EDG. So, anyway, yeah, I'm learning as we go here.
You are.
And hopefully Team WE can do a little bit more learning as well. They kind of need it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I very much want to see what LGD can bring to the table here. If it is just going to be a 3-0 for them, I expect WE to be back on the blue side again after having lost. They get side select, obviously, with this one. We also are getting to the point where we're going to have a ton of bans in the series or in the game now as well.
True.
As we already have 20 picks off the table here for both
We're feeling
sides.
the fearless. It's coming in.
We are. It's starting to gather up a little bit. But we've seen some big picks taken off. The only one, at least for the ADC position, that's just monumentally lording over this next game has got to be Ashe.
That's a good point. I actually expect Ashe to still be banned. Her and Callista likely taken off the board, gotta believe. As Callista's been a really strong champ early on in Fearless format. But hey, we'll see what kind of approaches we have. Ashe, good option if you want that utility for AD carry. And of course, we expect Team WE to be on that blue side yet again, so we'll have access to first pick, and of course, taking away the ban, which will be Skarner. Sayonara, Skarner.
Bye, Skarner.
Yep.
Maybe one day. Maybe one day Flowers will be here.
I don't think we're going to see Skarner until we get, like, really late in the tournament. The team's just like, all right, let's... Like, we want that ban for the rest of the series, please. Like, we'll just let it go game 1 and see what happens.
Thought experiment time.
Ooh.
Is this where you miss the game 4, game 5 different bans? Like game 4 only having 3 bans, game 5 having no bans.
Ooh, good question. I did like that format a bit. Mazel's referencing NACL, what we had in the league. I thought it was interesting, at least in terms of opening the pool up a little bit. And yeah, LPL went opposite, right? Because game 5, you get even more bans.
All bans. Yeah, you get all your bans. So in game 4 in NACL, you only had the first 3 bans. In game 5, there were no bans, only the Fearless bans. But just a thought experiment. It's interesting.
I thought game 4 was really hard in NACL.
Yeah.
That was a really tough game to get through.
I agree. All right, we're through the picks and bans, or at least the bans of the picks and bans. WE ban away the Callista, the Vi, the Udyr. You get the Zyra, Jace. Skarner ban. Ashe is not the first pick by WE?
Well, you're likely going to force an Orianna here from XQW to break up the combo. So you could go Ashe Ori and feel okay about it, but other things on the board might be able to get Ashe later on in this draft. I'd be surprised if LGD gives away Orianna here with the Nocturne. But looks to be the case at the moment.
Just get Ashe, man.
Just get Ashe, yeah.
Like, this pick is OP, bro. This pick is OP as hell
so
right
far,
now.
the win rate's not been good. I will say at the start of this tournament, I believe coming into the day, Ashe is 2-6, so 25% win rate. LGD, I mean, I expect them to really shift the spectrum on that. I think there is some bias in that. Like, I think why Rumble and Ashe have been low win rates is actually because the blue side teams have been losing, because we've had a lot of 3-0s and everyone's taking blue side, and those are our first picks on blue side. So, you got to get into the stats here in Fearless Draft. It's less of a sample size for all of our champs, given that you can only play them once in a series.
Victor, let's go! They've watched Arcane. How long until those jokes get annoying?
I guess they don't want the Ori combo. They were expecting to play Victor and the Ori maybe with this draft strategy. This is one of Karis' better champions going throughout his career.
Just interesting you wouldn't go with the combination.
Yeah, especially against Ashe, like that's a pick that you can really punish. So with Nakori, so I am a bit surprised. That
Is
said,
everybody is this just a free for all? They're just like, we pick whatever we want.
I mean, Cube on tank duty's common, and Victor does pack enough damage to warrant taking a tank in the top side. But
do you still take Ori?
Cube on tank duty is what we expect, Mazel. That's a stock standard here in the LPL.
Do we expect the Orianna still to come through? Do you not just are you not just falling into the bait?
So Ori, what I do like about Orianna is that you can really help like create zones for Ashe and buy some space for. Also into Victor, you get outranged in this matchup, but with the shockwave and with your ball, you can still zone Victor off and then make plays on him early on. So actually expecting Climber to take a jungler where you can attack. I will say we are in Fearless. I will say in Fearless, I believe the flex picks are nerfed a bit because you only get to use them once. I just do want to bring up that Jax in the Nocturne, it's not the worst matchup for a Jax jungle. And if you do want to switch up the top lane matchup, might be an option. Again, not what we're expecting to see. We haven't seen Jax jungle in a bit, but just do want to highlight that. And at the moment, it does look like the focus is going towards Climber, taking away some of the junglers that might be available for him.
I like the Jhin ban. I think the Jhin ban's so unlocking to the WE side with the kind of distance and the utility it brings to the table. And then the very obvious Climber targeting from WE in the second phase, trying to take away any big power pick there with the Viego, as well as the Braum towards YCX, saying so that's one of the only available options.
Yeah, Braum, extra power for LGD because that Unbreakable can stop the Ornhorn. I will say Alistar does go up in value a lot here for me. I think it's Panth Jungle. We have the Climber Panth Jungle. You know, I was going to say, I think that a lot of the junglers that synergize well with Orianna off the board, stuff like Xin Zhao, Wukong, not available. Pantheon, you got the point and click. You can put the Shockwave on top of it. That's good. Now for LGD, they did ban out 2 of the higher ranged AD carries. It's going to end up being the Caitlyn for Taeyun.
Very interesting.
Yeah, a lot of lane power here for WE. And then the Bard. I do like Bard here. I think Bard can actually really abuse Pantheon. And we'll see a lot of potential for that ult for Bard to help set up Victor, set up Ornn going through. The Seraphine being hovered, being considered.
This would be kind of nasty. I feel like this would break the comp from WE.
So you can get like popped by Nocturne as it is locked in, but I like Seraphine a lot, especially in games like with a tank top laner with Ornn. If you have an Enchantress, you can somewhat absorb the damage and the CC as the game goes on and then really turn it later on. That move speed buff as well to help empower the Pantheon and the Jax in the front line could be really big to try and reach the Victor and the Caitlyn, which will be a difficult task for LGD this game.
It will be, but there's a little bit different looks going through here for WE.
Yeah.
Tianjin needs to get some kind of going to him. He needs to get a little gas in the tank. Karis is going to be great on the Victor. Gotta wonder what this 2v2 in the bot lane can lead to, but I'm all eyes on Tianjin right now for WE.
Yeah, Tianjin's just got to play better. And also, do want to see Vampire if he's able to make some plays. Bard against Seraphine. You have the option to get out of the lane early on and really impact the map. Seraphine needs to stay in the lane, get some experience before she can really move. That 2v2, it will be really tough actually for Kate Bard. I think Seraphine's a nice neutralizer for the Caitlyn. And Ashe Seraphine might actually be favored in the 2v2. Of course, the slow from Ashe actually does proc that Seraphine root on the E, which is really powerful in terms of synergy. So I like that pick a lot from LGD. I think it's a really good use of R5.
Well, Climber also having a little bit more onus on him with the Pantheon.
Yeah.
I believe he has the Iron Wolf Pantheon as well with the arcane theming there. But it's been an interesting pick, but it definitely needs to stay proactive. And that's why I think looking at the track record and looking ahead now, the game plan is pretty simple. I mean, we have a lot of cohesion on LGD side, and as we get into game number 3, it is do or die for WE. There is no world that you want to go 0-2 to start off a single round robin group stage, and they need everything they can get to get into here. We are into Xi'an. We are into game 3.
You gotta believe that Team WE backs up against the wall, and their home arena too. Don't want to get blanked there. As you see some nice use of LGD, level 1. That will be spotted by a good scouting ward. Does not escape the grasp of YCX and the Seraphine, but at least WE has an idea of what's going on early. I do think standard lanes would be really nice for LGD. I do favor this Ashe Seraphine, and curious to see them play so aggressively towards this bot side. Maybe a split map scenario to really help the Ashe Seraphine win out with the double ranged.
I mean, I think if you can get any kind of advantage of this, we've seen LGD be able to control those early games and lead that to successes. Climber being a big propositioner of that. And I know a lot of people were very excited to see him get the transition to LPL after that LDL championship run. Bot lane, a little scared to come back to lane. See if they get a little bit of poking done early, but I do want to see what this invade means for the jungle pathing, because both junglers have been very much okay with the kind of same side starts both times.
Just wondering how...
That's the flash already from Taeyun. That's big.
Whoa. Was not expecting that. Interesting. I am wondering how quick we are able to scout the... Okay, we do have a Tianjin reading this and going to take the wraps, which is really all you can ask for if you are WE. So this will be a split map scenario, of course. Good word from Karis over the wall to spot Climber on the wraps. So full info being played with. That was one concern I had for WE here. Will not be the case. Do have a Taeyun and Vampire stepping out to try and contest these, but Pantheon takes the Krugs really quickly with that Q. Also, like the early smite, of course, Pantheon in the kit. If you are low health, he will auto crit, 100% guaranteed. So smiting early, strategic as Pantheon. Gonna look to for him to use that to also combo to secure objectives, something that Climber didn't have the most success with against anyone's Legends, but of course has had a lot of success today, as most objectives for him have not been contested.
True. So what does this do for the map state? What does this do for the idea of what Tianjin and what Climber want to do respectively?
Again, I like this setup for LGD just because I feel like they can allow for Xiaoya and YCX to play the double range lane a little bit more aggressively into the Caitlyn. So I think you split map to try and make sure your bot lane can play a little bit further up. Jax can't really be touched by the Ornn Nocturne. I mean, the Counter-Strike is so valuable in that setup there. So really should not be pressured. So I think LGD just did this, again, playing around their lanes well. And if I go back and think of all three maps, all three games for LGD, I really feel like their level 1 setup has been good for the comps they've had. Like, they got the 2v2 they wanted in game 2, even if it didn't go their way. They dodged out on the lane swap that would have been favorable for WE. They have a split map here that plays into their double range bot lane. I think that's very favorable for LGD. So I gotta say, like, this young team, again, I've been impressed by how many textbook things or just stuff that makes sense to me in the game they've been able to do, been able to execute, that has made them look really good today. As now, might get interesting here. Climber, it could have just all led to this.
Traps. The bane of every Panther. He's between the traps. Climber doesn't even get touched. What the hell was that? Oh my god. Climber dissects Taeyun out of the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta imagine that he has the invulnerable from the E, where if you point it in the right direction, you can dodge out of the damage from the traps. Climber, he didn't even need it. He climbed right over the traps that Caitlyn laid, and Taeyun gonna feel bad about that one. The early flash being burned now feels expensive going down in lane to Climber. And Climber should be able to get into his topside jungle, get some respawn camps, and keep up with the Nocturne pretty decently. So, really good start for LGD.
And unfortunately, Cubby just sent a dagger sinking into the hearts of WE fandom. As, God, I feel so bad for Taeyun.
Just beautiful from Climber. Yeah, the Q went wide, didn't matter. And well played by YCX. I did really like the prep of the heal of the double shield before. I think the double W might have been popped a little bit early, but just making sure that his team has all the health early on to play with and calculate that dive with. I actually like the preemptive use of summoners there. I felt like it was really warranted. So again, seeing a lot of good things out of these young LGD players. Of course, hoisting trophies in LDL, but having these good performances in LPL, all you can ask for is they make the shifts to the next level, and it's looked damn good today.
It has indeed. Gonna need to continue looking good, as we have Dragon #1 up on the table. First spawn of Grubs up in 30 seconds. Taeyun and Vampire have transitioned towards topside. We should be getting the movement from the rest of the team coming up here.
I do like the shift from WE. Of course, this is before Grubs. They will have a prio towards the topside. This isn't matched by LGD yet. They've only sent the Seraphine up. So Ashe will not be able to get involved in this fight, whereas Cube, he might be able to. So I think the shift from WE again warranted.
Love to see a little contest ahead of these grubs spawning. WE just going to start it up. They should be able to just take one and get out if they don't feel super confident about the fight itself. Tangent, maybe going for the magical journey. Not going to do it. Just going to walk his way out. So it will be the 1-4-2 trade. No mark of the feats of strength and go down to either side as they were split. And we should transition to the other side of the map for the dragon.
Frankly, I'm a little bit surprised that was it. I thought that if Caitlyn stayed, you can poke. The Qs do a lot of damage at this point of the game if you are Taeyun, so might have been able to create, at least get, more health bars down or create a decent scenario. Not the case, though. They just decided to go play the waves. Will continue to be this setup. Xiaoyu getting some free time. Experience on Ashe, it kind of is what it is. Of course, does give you a lot of stats, so any sort of experience advantage or stuff you can find in AD is fine, but I think overall the starving out of the Jax, if Xiaoyu does end up losing resources, would be more expensive, but at the moment, he's able to pick everything up with the Caitlyn already being behind, so again, good setup for LGD.
So far, so good. We are going to have level 6s available now. Tianjin, Paranoia important. Grand Starfall still pretty far ways away from Climber. I mean, the CS differential is seriously coming back to bite LGD in that case. Tianjin, I mean, this is the time, right? Like, you got to be proactive with that Paranoia while you have that advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, at the moment, he's getting some good counter jungling in. He has stayed really far ahead. That's
there
an
we
ECA.
Go. Oh.
Combo,
like, no way he still dies because of it. No way. The spacing arrow from Xiaoyu. Here comes the Paranoia. Tianjin trying to get one kill back. The fear coming through. Karis will actually get from the dead kill with the arcane. And we'll see now Grand Starfall coming in from Climber from behind.
I actually like this ult from Climber because he's going to help get this wave in, and then he can go secure his topside jungle. So, yeah, Tianjin ended up helping Karis pick up a kill, but this will help Climber defend his topside jungle. And on the respawn, too, if Orianna is able to get mid, potential to look for a quick dragon. Okay, actually not going to be the case. We'll just be the pressure topside continuing. Of course, you do have the 2v1 option on the top line. You can see here in the replay, Tianjin's actually taking the red buff. He's got to pull off this to help with the mid play. So even this 1-for-1 helps delay a little bit of the tempo of the Nocturne. And I like the play from YCX, who is trying to do something proactive to talk about how the Bard could get outside of lane to help. He's kind of just been wasting his time hitting the Jax. Xiaoyu is still been able to get pretty much everything on the map. So more of an impact coming out from the Seraphine. Not something that I had on my bingo card early on, but get to see YCX make it happen.
Still wondering how that enchanted crystal arrow didn't hit Karis. It's like literally on top of the model. Doesn't actually end up hitting. Things go a little bit awry. LGD still in a small advantage. Trying to get back onto the map. There's some pings from Climber going down towards that dragon. Would be the first dragon of the game, and it's an infernal dragon.
Climber gonna looks like he's on that one at the moment. Curious enough, though, we have the Seraphine Ass actually shifting their way up towards the top side. We have Grub spawning in a minute, so very confident LGD that they're able to secure this dragon. Rightfully so, not being contested again. Cube not really able to leave his turret at this point of the game as the Ornn. And I think importantly, Jax, I will say, has fallen a little bit behind in terms of resources, so I was a bit surprised that LGD didn't get out of this formation.
Oh, he was on
that
vision.
Was spotted. Okay.
He gets the flash out, but Xiaoyu being proactive with these ultis.
Yeah. I am a little bit surprised LGD didn't get the Jax out of this formation. I think that Jax in the 1v1, if you get ahead a little bit, I can really push into Ornn and stack up the grass procs, which he's lacking now. So I think that LGD still making decent calls, but at least Jax isn't as far up as he was on Cube. That is a small win that Team WE can take for themselves. Also
a small win for WE is Tianjin up so far in the jungle. I mean, that's 25 CS in the jungle, and that's no slouch. Hex, or experimental Hex plate completed there. So first items becoming a problem.
I gotta say, I really don't love the Hexblade build on Nocturne. The Stride Breaker, the utility it brings, especially going into a few squishies in the backline, I think is really valuable. That said, it does provide slows. I think the hope is that when Karis, levels up enough into this game, he will have the slows with all of his abilities. So hopefully that can make some room for Tianjin. But
do they have the advantage?
I mean, they have no vision right now, so that's not good.
They have the item spikes.
We'll see who Tianjuan wants to go on, but Cube getting chunked out nicely.
Tempered Fate. They're going to go with the... It's a little bit desynced right now from WE. Big Ornhorn across, but look, the backline. Big access from Sasa. He finds the big counter-strike. Tianjin is just all by himself on the other side of the fight. WE have turned the white flag up and are in full retreat. LGD find 2.
I love the space that Xiaosa was able to take in that fight, just going in with the counter-strike. Yes, Tianjuan was able to take down XQW, but a bit of a shutdown goes over, taking down the Nocturne. Karis fell in the fight as well. And a lot of this was just from the space that the Jax bought. Didn't enable Taeyun to actually get in and do anything proactive in this fight. The back half LGD, they won out on the fight. The Health Bar Wars, they take the triple grubs that will count towards the feats of strength. As... yeah, I mean, again, Tianjuan, like, we're so deep, no one can follow. And Xiaosa just a great job here.
Damage.
Yeah, just, you know, gets in here. Honestly, I mean, looking back, it was all YCX that set that up. So it was a beautiful encore from him that enabled Xiaosa to get in and take up that space by that time. So really well played, again, by the support and top laner here for LGD. Did a nice job of separating Team WE in that fight, not enabling anyone to help out Tianjuan, and things continue to look grim here for WE.
The Yuntal's first item for Xiaoya, or LGD's side of things. They are also 2 neutral objectives out of 3 for the feats of strength, so they're getting very, very close to that one. Turrets, not as much. Xiaoya, richest player in the game right now, by the way. Most CS by a mile, but as well as 2 kills help him out with that.
Yeah, I do want to say that with some of the changes that were made to Ashe, I believe the build might have changed a bit, or the crit is an option. As I need to do some homework here on the Ashe changes exactly. I wasn't exact. I should be, you know, pretty prepped on these, but it's not like we don't, you know, we see a lot of Ashe.
We do. Well, honestly, we don't, because it's banned every single game.
Or it's fearless, so you just see it once, right?
Yeah.
No.
Get a couple games in, you know, as everybody's going to be completing their first items here. Everybody going to be redeploying out towards the bot side of the map. There's still a while till this next dragon, but again, one more dragon gets LGD, the feats of strength. Is that worth fighting over here, Cubby, for Team WE?
I think, I mean, we haven't talked a ton about scaling this game. I think scaling, like, the Seraphine pick also really throws that off, because you can absorb so much damage with the build that YCX is going, which I do like a lot. The Redemption. It's going to be damage over time coming out from the Victor and the Caitlyn, so you have time for the Redemption to connect and help out with these fights. I think it's going to be really tough for WE to get through. But for me, it's kind of like play off of Victor scaling, or like Victor items. I think you fight off Victor item spikes, and that's how you should play this one out. But at the moment, they're behind, and I don't necessarily think the scaling, like, in the long haul helps them.
Chance the Crystal Arrow. Ooh, barely missing
step.
Vampire. Thought maybe they would look for a continued presence on bot side, but now we're getting closer and closer to that dragon spawning. It does also look like Atakan has decided top lane is the place to go this time around. We'll have that voracious Atakan spawning in top lane in about 5.5 minutes, but until then we have many objectives on the table.
And dragon being taken. I was doing some Ashe homework, and you do get more benefit from crit.
Bring back crit Ashe, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of the same, but before you wouldn't get any benefit with 100% crit chance, as it only applied when they're already slowed. So now you at least apply it right off the bat. So those first autos hit a little bit bigger when you do have that crit chance going, which is the primary change.
Cube doing some work here, Cubby. We said, hey, we'd like to see Cube on tanks. Well, he got first turret.
Defeat of strength. Too bad it didn't count.
Too bad it didn't matter.
Yeah. Cube was set up for success with the swaps, right? Playing into the Ashe, able to get some free time, free farm. So I still think, like, as time goes on, Jax will overtake this matchup. Ornn cannot combat, and if Xiaosa wants to be really mean, you build Bork. And that's when you make Ornn really hate his life. I don't think that's not going to be the call. That's the solo queue Jax build, you know.
All right.
Not the pro Jax build. Probably going to see Sterix or Sundered Sky, but yeah,
it'd be so Chad from Sasa.
Sleeve's not going to be a ton.
TP.
We are teasing a ward.
Paranoia,
Yeah, here we go.
TP,
okay.
everything. we're throwing the kitchen sink, and it's all at XQW. Enchanted Crystal are going completely wide. Encore a little bit late there. Tempered Fate dodged out of. And we'll get the flash out. Chaos Storm is there. Tianzhen just going way deep, trying to get the kills. And they do find the bot laner in YCX. So a couple pickups from WE.
Yeah, Cube going to TP out to respond to the Jax push, but this should lead to a turret for Team WE. A lot burned, but it leads to some success as they're able to get a couple kills, get a turret for themselves, and honestly, one of the better plays we've seen from WE today.
Our WE upsetting the trend. Our feats of strength a bait. Find out this and more on LPL in 10 minutes.
It is kind of nice for Tianzhen that he can just kind of slam his face on the keyboard and keep going forward. I will credit him. His 2 spell shields, they've gotten through Shockwave, so he's neutralized them, so that has been good Nocturne mechanics from Tianzhen. Is being started by LGD. Going to take a second look again. A lot of buttons burned between the Paranoia. This flash, Tianzhen was able to follow, so the flash was a wee bit early. And then, of course, that spell shield, it did neutralize the Shockwave. So it helps make sure that he stays on top of Orianna. Flash forward to get on top of the Seraphine. Fear still connects, despite Climber trying to buy some space with the stun. Tianzhen makes a nice play for his team.
Borrowing a saying from my good friend Rafa, I'm pretty sure that Enchanted Crystal Arrow hit my fridge. As not being able to find that angle.
Trying to fridge into a freezer.
Yeah, feels a little bit bad, as that actually makes a massive difference if that Enchanted Crystal Arrow hits. And that'll be something to keep an eye on for Xiaoya. It's not necessarily going to be the nitty-gritty fights, the things that he's been really succeeding at. It's going to be about how he can set up the team with this Enchanted Crystal Arrow and the hawk shot vision he's going to be able to provide.
At the moment, LGD really trying to focus on mid where Xiaoyu's at, try and burn through this turret. If they can at least get some pressure, of course, Taeyun with those traps. A few more points in those. Able to get 4 out. See how close he is to 5. Not sure if he put all 5 points in Q. Sometimes we see Caitlyn put early points in trap when you get out of laning phase. Something that I actually like a lot on this champion. I think it should be a 3 points in Q angle.
Oh, cheeky.
Yeah, well played by Vampire. Going to neutralize that rift. Still with the 5 grubs and all the members here. LGD going to get through it regardless.
They will indeed. Maybe looking at another. Tianzhen caught. He is so caught. He is so going to die. Spell shielding the Encore. The flash going through. Xiaoya. He couldn't get him. Chaos Storm going to be used. I cannot believe Xiaoya just did not kill Tianzhen right there, but that'll be a lot used to try to get him.
The heal and I think a nice hot chocolate from Vampire enough to make sure that his jungler stays alive there. Mikhail's also used, but still, like, they didn't really get anything off that push, Team WE. It was LGD using their grub advantage to bully. We didn't see, in Game 1, that was the one game where WE had grub advantage. We didn't really see them push the map, use that at all. Was good to see LGD being up 5-1 again. You can overload whatever lane you want. And the other team, if they contest, then, well, you're still getting your turret melted. As we see the 5 grubs ripping through this one. And all it took from Tianzhen was just getting caught by a volley in ECA. And yeah, the follow-up's nice. I feel like Xiaoya could have bought a little bit more space while Tianzhen was actually CC'd. He was trying to play at max range. I think he could have stepped up a little bit further because Vampire and Taeyun were further back. So Xiaoya, I don't think he played that one exactly perfectly on the Ashe, but still managed to at least pressure Tianzhen, who did just wrap up the Stridebreaker second. I know I said I wanted to see, we'll help him stick on the backline, stick to the squishies. But dragging up, Soul Point on the table for LGD, because it is Hextech Soul.
Lord Dom's second item for Xiaoya. I haven't seen that in a long time. Maybe needed against these tankier frontliners going against him. TP coming in now. Dragon setup would be a soul point for LGD. Big decision-making tools there if they get it. It's also a Hextech Soul, so that's massive as well. Taeyun needing an angle. WE not as confident to move in here without mid lane push.
And WE doesn't have any help in the bot lane either, where Xiao's is trying to buy some time as we see Taeyun. That ace in the hole from Kate didn't do too much there.
Not
the
great.
Seraphine shields, yeah.
Sasa is being answered to by Tianzhen. Tianzhen caught by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. The Tempered Fate had come down as a response. Sasa by himself. WE being picked apart at the seams. Sasa took all of their aggression and turned it right back onto them. Here comes the Grand Starfall. Things are falling apart for WE. He's just
Whoa.
going straight over. Oh my
That's good.
God. They actually caught Xiaoya. He was completely by himself. Luckily, XQW gets a bit of revenge for him, but LGD are making tatters of WE right now.
I just don't know what WE's doing in these fights. I'm going to be honest. Like, Xiaosi, I mean, he bought so much time, so much space again, but like Team WE is not respecting that. They have to play back to the Jacks. Actually have to play for flanks, play for angles. They like every fight, it just feels like they're walking into a choke on vision as 5 because they aren't playing through their sides at all. And this time around, like Cube being here, Cube can't afford to be here, but why go in from here? If Cube pulls back, they can actually space the Ori, space the Ashe, and try and get away from this. Instead, Karis and Cube get stuck here. Karis has the flash of the Sentry or something as he tries to get nothing done against Pantheon. And look at this. While that was going on, those two members are distracted. What was it for? Just get half health off Jax. He's still going to force sums out. Tengen has a nice save here onto Ashe in the back half, but just not the fights that WE's looking for. Like, the direction of this team, it just feels really non-existent, and they're not respecting a lot of fundamentals of the league that we're just seeing LGD get right, like playing with vision, playing with waves, playing through a choke. How do you want to play your team fights? We've seen LGD get these things right today against WE, where they've just gotten these things straight up wrong. That's why the series just has not looked close at all.
I am at a loss for words. It's a bit unfortunate. It is still a dead even game right now. So even if you're looking at things, it's just been, gut punch after gut punch. Now Tianjin going in for a gut punch himself. Big shockwave combo there onto him, and he just dies outright. Temper Fate. Oh, no. At least Karis will get one. Got the Enchanted Crystal on Taeyu, and he gets cleansed immediately. Climber getting hit by the Chaos Storm is actually doing some work. Chaos Storm! Oh, he almost dies. Vampire has been found, and a stake driven straight through his heart. I don't know if you've seen Nosferatu, but it doesn't end too well for him, as now Cube, Karis, and Taeyu try to make their way out of this one. And I don't know how much they're going to be able to do.
Trap.
YCX looking for an angle there. Sasa trying to get a counter-strike, doesn't do it. A little bit dicey here for LGD. They don't know if they want to push forward, but the approach velocity from Xiaoya could really do some work. Taeyun second-guessed himself and dies for it. As the Grand Starfall comes in, it is all she wrote for WE. What was an even game just feels like it was completely turned on its head by LGD.
And Team WE in their home arena, watching pretty much any hopes of making it through this group go out the window with a clean sweep from LGD. Tianjin, maybe we have an Otacon contest?
Sasa, don't die.
No,
you better not die. Tianjin just dies here, though. Xiaoya runs him down, and that is so unfortunate. As the Otacon goes down, they'll get that GA, and they'll be able to put the pressure right into WE's home base.
How do you think Team WE would do in LDL?
It's a great question.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking after this. I will say, I don't mind the approach here from Tianjin. The only thing I don't like is that he's alone. Like,
yeah,
Cube,
exactly.
the TPs, it's late. Layering with Vampire, like, Bard is sometimes tricky with that, but not able to get it right. Taeyun can't net over the wall.
Dude, Climber surviving.
Yeah, barely able to live. That Evian used very well to make sure he gets out, and that's big because Climber ends up getting involved the back half of the fight. I love how LGD is trying to corral them. Do want to give a couple props to Taeyun. That trap was placed really nicely, kind of using the fog to hide that one, but I'm at a loss for words from what we've seen from WE2.
That was a magical arrow, not even enchanted, from Xiaoya in the midst of 5 people. He finds Vampire.
Otacon used.
That was just the Otacon GA.
Yep, that's an easy one. The push continues. We got 5 grubs for LGD. Baron spawn, but they don't even want to risk taking that one. They just want to use the power they have now with the Otacon, the grubs, to push down and make sure that Team WE, their hopes in this group, they're coming to a quick end.
Who needs Elder Dragon in the LPL when you have the revive from Otacon? I mean, it is so inherently perfect for the LPL. And Climber going in on himself. Tianjin gets caught. Tempered Fate going down. Chaos Storm is there. They actually might get a couple here. They do get the resets going through. XQW should be the next one to fall. He's trying to get a little bit damage back, but he gets reset as well. That will still be Climber available with his. And you have Sasu there. He does not have his GA.
Did see some of the nice synergy you get from the Bard Caitlyn with the Tempered Fate prepping those traps. Props to Taeyun, who, with that IE completed, hitting decently hard there for the fight. Still, I mean, I'm just kind of whipped cream on crap at this point when it comes to Team WE, because we're trying to praise a couple things when things are going south. I'm not going to talk about Tianjin's flash in the Encore. That's actually a true Encore flash, you know? You flash out, and you still get hit. That's an Encore, baby.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a couple of them now. The equalizer in the first game. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just talking about something else. It's fine. Talking about something else.
It's been a rough series for Tianjin.
It's okay.
And he didn't even get to play Rengar.
He didn't even get to play Rengar, man. They didn't even ban it. Like,
Maybe
that's how you know things are going wrong.
Maybe his team banned it from him. Fun
All
fact.
last year, they banned it from him.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's an internal ban now. Fun fact, when I played jungle in college in Season 5, Rengar was banned from me. I couldn't. I wasn't allowed to play the Rengar remake with like the Q hop, which was.
Oh, TP. Oh my God, Taeyun. Taeyun, you're not gonna have a fun time. Okay, he does get away from that Tempered Fate onto the dragon. Taeyun is still behind here. There's a perfect flank from Sasa right onto their carry. He goes by himself. Now it's a little bit dicey. Sasa goes for the Counter-Strike play. Encore across 3. Shockwave! Oh my God! LGD have ended all the hopes of Team WE, and they are smashing this series with a 3-0 in their eyes.
Dragon count for this series, 13 for 13 in LGD. Or no, 12 for 13. The Elder was yoinked by Team WE in Game 1. Every other Dragon in all 3 games, a soul has gone over to LGD. I mean, just really speaks to the dominance that we've seen from them. Multiple souls, multiple Barons uncontested being taken by LGD too. I mean, Team WE, man, really just didn't feel like their day, their series, may not be their year. Who knows? Maybe it's a team where the new format might benefit them because they need some time after Split 1.
They need some time.
Yeah, nice buffer here from Xiaoxi to get back. Got through the trap on the Leap Strike, and that was all they needed as the Shockwave to yoink people into the Encore. Today's story, it just really feels like WE not playing together, not playing to their win cons, lack of direction in their play. LGD, exact opposite. These guys have been grouped up. They knew their game plans. They executed them very well. And Team WE never got into their series. In fact, the one time that they got into the series, the fight was Chrono Break. That's how bad things have been for Team WE today.
That's so crazy, man. That is what is so insane to me. And the fact that all of this is built around a bunch of rookies and Xiaoya. Like, the fact that all of this has been a team effort. There's still a mountain like hell to climb in this Group A, but they got Climber right there with them. And now a hopeless, thankless paranoia from Tianjin while his team is being obliterated behind him. Climber is looking for more. Taeyun's right on top of him. YCX is there.
Climber.
Melee range of Taeyun, and it doesn't even matter. Climber going on a double. Grand Starfall coming in, and I hear the Kangle, baby. Triple kill for Climber.
Oh, Vampire. What was that? Oh, Team WE. We got some work to do. We're going to see one more series out of them, but not going to see them get out of the group as LGD. They find the dominant 3-0 tonight.
They do. They will even their score up to 1-1 and make this group a little spicy. Contest AL and Top Esports and a 3-0 in WE's home arena. A sweep for LGD.
I mean, they got slapped around by LGD tonight, man. Like, Team WE, I mean, this is a professional play.
I feel so bad for him, man.
I don't think I've ever gone this hard on the cast because I'm used to casting Tier 2. But Team WE did not look like a professional team today, man. LGD came in. These LDL champions, the promotion internally. They slapped Team WE in their home arena, found the 3-0, and we'll see what happens. I mean, this is a team. Don't expect them to win against Top Esports to make anything interesting happen to the group. But I got to say, LGD, they've put up better gameplay than what we've expected, and these are young players making their debut in Split 1 in Fearless. We've seen the depth. We've seen them play their strats out really well no matter what they've brought to the Rift, and I have some hope in this team. I think that some of the fun of covering leagues is we always see the top dogs play well and go international and do big things, but if you cover a league, you really get to fall in love with, you know, the people within it, the teams that are trying to climb up the ranks. And man, LGD, for me, they look like a favorite to climb the ranks early on in this season because there's a lot of promise with some of these guys. Been impressed with what I've seen, especially from XQW and YCX, man, I really think the mid support had a great day today.
I think the biggest thing is just experience for everybody. Like even if they don't make it through the group stage here, I mean, even getting those best of fives and being able to see this kind of promise on a lot of these players has been really nice, and that's what makes it so heartbreaking on the other side for WE, where we will more than likely only see this team play 3 series in this first split and have to move on to spring, and a lot of changes no doubt come with that. But it's a team of players who are trying to make something out of nothing, it feels like, and players that, you know, have been trying to bounce around the league a lot. So that's why it feels so disheartening for WE, and that's why I hope to the fullest that they actually find a little bit of traction going into their last series.
We'll see, man. I have a lot of hopes for them. I'd love to see them take a map off of top esports, and when you got a team with Kareem, Jackie Love, and Crisp on it, you know, saying that those guys might lose a map in a series is really not saying anything too shocking. And I mean, I gotta say, if LGD keeps on playing like this, like, I hope they get rewarded with a map. I really do. I have some hopes for this team. I'm getting excited about these guys early on in the season, and really interested to see what some of these names can do moving forward, because, again, like, going up against Cream, I think that's a great storyline. XQW is someone that's been, for me, a bit of a standout in this group. Cream was really the last guy for me that kind of emerged as a star mid laner that we had in LPL, and for XQW to go up against him and a pretty high-stakes best of 5, I think that's going to be a really exciting series.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. Not only that, but like to see a continuation of these good looks that we've been getting from LGD.
Yeah, man.
And getting to see as well, like, again, we could talk about all these rookies. Sasa obviously deserved a ton of praise for this series as well.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Earning MVP as well. But Xiaoya is that maybe only a year, but experienced member on the roster. And I think it's so cool to still see him showing his stuff as well, and not just say it's just the rookie show, right? He actually has a lot of impact as well. So this LGD roster, a lot of fun to watch.
I don't want to get too excited about these guys, just because I don't think they went up against much competition today. But I even just thinking back to how they played Anyone's Legends, again, it wasn't the best day for that team. Of course, those guys won Demacia Cup. They're a team that, you know, they are favorites moving forward in the LPL, but they weren't pushovers against them by any means.
True.
Much unlike Team WE in their home arena today, who were just ultimate pushovers against LGD. So, yeah, we'll see if LGD against top esports can do something different.
Man. They're already dead. Let me take the stick out of his hand and tell him to stop poking dead bodies.
That was a tough series, man.
It was tough.
I expect more from the LPL. I really do. And yeah, Team WE just didn't show it today.
Yeah, the imports, the swapping of some players across different teams, the OMG transfers of Cube and Tianjin not working out as well. But we did get to see Climber Pantheon, which, you know, is always fun. But also, for me, it was the cleanliness of the strategies. We can talk about LGD. We're going to talk about LGD the rest of the day until we get to the MVP. But it was not just the cool outplays, the hands, that kind of stuff, but it's that they had a tried and true strategy. They were absolutely executing from the draft and then taking it into game and also executing there. And I think in the LPL, it's so easy to draft yourself a good composition or a very straightforward composition, but it can be sometimes so impossible to execute on those.
Yeah, I got to say, for today, I think MVP for the series, I would give it to Xiaose. I thought that throughout 3 games, he played the best, but I think for this game, or like a sleeper for me, I actually consider the support.
Okay.
I thought YCX actually had a really solid series looking back. I thought his game 2 was good. This game, the Seraphine pick, that's a great use of R5, and he played it really, really well. So that was definitely impressive for me with this young support who, someone to look out for as time goes on. I think this was a really good look, a really good pick, and he used it well.
As we talk about him, he's the one dying in this.
Yeah, that's the one time he went down. The rest of the game, I mean, he's positioned great here. Like, again, like Seraphine support, it's not the hardest to position. You want to be with the team. You want to be behind your teammates, setting up these big encores and setting up for the redemptions, the AoEWs. And is it the hardest pick to play? No, but did YCX play that really well? Yeah, he did. So I was impressed by that.
No, he absolutely did. And, you know, it sucks that there isn't more to talk about on Team WE's side. That way we can, like, fill the air with kind of both sides of the story. But it really was just LGD as a whole making this happen and pulling the victory out of WE. And
look, I've been a LCK fan for a long time. I've seen Karis be on some tough teams as an LCK journeyman for mid lane. He might legitimately be jailed in this team, and that's shocking. If we're gonna talk about that, I mean, I thought Karius was
I don't feel like he was without blame in this series, though.
No, but also I thought that he might have played the best on Team WE. It was
like, I'm not. That'd be too mean. I'm not gonna say anything more. Sure, Covey. Yep.
I mean, he at least tried in Aurora. There was a couple of Kali angles that were okay.
The bar just wasn't very high. All right, Covey.
This game was bad. Yeah, the bar was not high at all. This game was bad, but I thought
it
the
happens.
Karius was standout. Yeah.
And like, if this was a normal format, if this was regular LPL format where you're in a single round robin against all the teams, who cares? Who really cares about a series like this? You lose one, whatever. You literally had the like top 3 teams losing to the bottom 15th and 16th, 17th teams last year in summer. But it's different because it's a different format. It's 3 best of 5s, and your season is over, at least for the first split. So,
dude, that last fight between seeing Tianxian just like go in solo and just get crushed by Ashe, and then seeing Vampire with the flash into the Pan Spear.
Yeah.
Team WE's got some work to do.
They do.
Not good.
LGD, they don't have as much work to do, but they still got a lot of work to do themselves.
Yeah, they do. We'll see. It's hard to climb the ranks in LPL. I mean, those top teams are really good.
There's even one less team. They made it easier, and it's still hard.
Yeah. Tough times.
I don't know if one less team makes it any easier, honestly. I'm not going to lie. The bottom 2 teams are, you know, sometimes a little bit of a struggle bus. So, does Sasa get it? Does Xiaoya maybe get it with the 6-1 Ashe performance?
I'd give it to Xiaosa. I think it's Xiaosa. I thought he was the best out of the 3 games. And I don't think it's going to go to the support because it's hard to give series MVP to the support, but I do want to give an honorary mention to YCX, who I thought had a really solid series, actually, looking back.
LPL's been pretty good about giving some MVPs to supports here. We'll see who it ends up being. It is YCX with the Seraphine.
I was 3 for 3 with the MVPs today. Let's go. No Keck W Media.
No Keck W Media.
Good call. Of course, my opinion is the only one that's right. You know, nothing else. That's all we care about. So,
absolutely.
Anyway.
Color cast has always got to be right.
Yeah, frankly, I mean, I thought the pick, great use of R5, and the Seraphine was played really well. There was some good syncs going on with the shockwaves, interrupting some abilities, and again, just being grouped up at the backline, supporting. When you have the empowered heal, shield, move, like everything that the W gives when it's empowered, it really helps buff up the Jax, buff up the Pantheon to get in there and make plays. And I thought we saw, you know, him really open up things for Climber to do that.
So many good encores, and it's just so perfect. Like when we saw this from draft, it was so perfect into what W were trying to accomplish with this draft, and honestly so unlocking, right? I said it in the draft, like this pick unlocks the rest of the team, and you get to see it so many times.
Like Kate Bard, you're praying that they pick a melee into use so that you can abuse it as Bard. Just play Seraphine, play double range, you get to turn that lane into something that's Kate Bard favored to being Ashe Seraphine favored. I think a lot of other picks, Kate Bard wins, and they can play with Prio and go from there. So, yeah, great use of R5, and it was played out really well by YCX. I think it's a very deserved player of the game. See who gets player of the series now.
Hey, I mean, we only do it by game, you know, so we don't get it. We get to choose. Hey, I'll leave it to you. I'll leave it to you. You get to choose.
No, your opinion matters for this one too, Marcel.
I think
look at the Keck W Media. I was actually affirmed that it was unironically Keck W Media.
That's 2 MVPs at 4 out of 8, by the way.
Okay, let's just. How are we giving Ashe MVP that game? Like,
because she went 6-1. I don't know. Feels not bad.
I don't think Ashe did anything special that game anyway. Keck W Media. Base Seraphine.
What?
Good pick, YCX.
ADC hater #1.
Yeah, support biased for sure.
Jamada has been dethroned.
Oh, Jamada's in. Oh, dude, Jamada just continues to get.
He's like the #1 ADC hater.
Dude, he continues to get more and more based. Continues to get more and more based, man.
Don't tell him that. You give him too much power, man.
I need to keep on giving him more power. Actually, I like Jamada a lot. So, yeah, that's the crime of being another cover caster, right? I can't work with him, but we'll see if there's a day for that.
Well, my friend, before I do all the reads and get us out of here, do you have any thoughts on this series or moving forward?
It was a pleasure to work with you as always, Marcel. Thanks for everything you bring to LPL. And we'll see if Team WE shows up next time.
I hope so. Well, I've got to give one last huge thank you very much to our Elite Coffee supporter, Aaron Soup. Their pledged financial contribution helps level up the broadcast in so many ways and give back to the cast and crew who bring you this product every single day. We believe that this product deserves to be shown in a traditional broadcast feel, and some of those stories continuously told for this legendary league. So thank you to Aaron Soup, and thank you to everybody else. If you don't know, please go support our coffee. Please go support by subbing to Twitch or YouTube. All those proceeds go straight to backing this this broadcast that we have and giving us cool content, things like that. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun. Unfortunately, we still are in the 5-game drought, which needs to stop, if I'm going to be honest, before we get to Chinese New Year.
It will.
That's
We got some bangers coming up.
Because we got a banger tomorrow. JDG, OMG, same time, same place, and we'll see you there.